It's cold broadcasting to you live is what I meant to say. From the Milky Way galaxy, the solar system, planet Earth, North America, the United States of America, west of the Atlantic, east of the Pacific. Yeah, you know where America is, but we're in those flyover states now. Blake and I have both escaped the West Coast and Los Angeles specifically. My name is Brian Engelman.
And I'm Blake Walley.
And this is Thursday, August 31st. 2023. We are broadcasting to a couple new places today because there are multiple sports stories. Sports and pop culture are downstream from culture. We've heard versions of that said before. So these are the topics we're going to cover today. Has NASCAR gone full racist? Agree or disagree? Riley Gaines lost to that Thomas person because that person actually... Hang on. Now I'm trying to remove pronouns because I'm tired of playing these games. But anyway, Riley Gaines lost to this swimmer named Thomas because Riley actually, quote, sucks at swimming. Do you agree or disagree with that? Now, on to the other stories in the news. Trump should have pled guilty for his scheme, as Blake pronounces it, to overturn the election. Agree or disagree? If Trump gets reelected, he should seek revenge on his political enemies. Agree or disagree? The media is controlled by intelligence agencies with hosts reading propaganda. Agree or disagree? Corrupt intel agencies and the DC uni-party are ushering in an end of democracy. Agree or disagree? We should comply with reinstated lockdowns and mask vaccine mandates. Agree or disagree? $700 is more than enough money for residents of Maui citizens, and we should devote more money to the war in Ukraine. According to Mitt Romney, I think Blake was gone by the time I got to this Romney story yesterday. Oh my God, I couldn't contain myself seeing this. As Deb said, I'm a little more, what did she say, animated? Or I'm what was her words? Dramatic, yes. I am a little dramatic. But, living in Hollywood for 15 years, that'll make you, you amp up the drama a bit. And then finally for today, Vivek Ramaswamy should be the first choice for Donald Trump's vice president. So all of these stories and more will be brought to you today on the new American media, because the old American media has failed you.
Right.
Actually, the last guy in that video, there's breaking news on him today. Blake, did you see that?
There is. Very bad news for him. Yes, I do have that up. Staff Sergeant Joe Biggs, veteran war hero, sentenced to 17 years. Guess he was in the Capitol building for 20 minutes on January 6th. So he's been found guilty of seditious conspiracy. And thrown.
Is any of that warranted, Blake? Did he break anything? Did he harm somebody? Did he injure someone? Did he? I'm not as familiar. Like, did he? Like, he was there for 20 minutes. Did he do anything other than existing?
I mean, he was, one of the high-ranking leaders of the Proud Boys. I'm sure he was maybe involved in a little bit of mischief, but nothing like violent that I would see. So I don't know what they're trying to get him for 17 years for. Seems a little bit over the top, but it seems that they're sending a chilling warning to everybody else to stay in line.
Interesting.
We'll get to
All right.
That one just broke, so I haven't even dug into that article, but we will get there.
Yeah, I mean, we go to where interesting things are happening, whether it's Occupy LA, the 2016 Republican National Committee convention, or the DNC, and they don't give us press passes for that because they were rigging it against Bernie to put Hillary up, even though nobody really wanted Hillary. She didn't have a lot of support. It reminds you a lot of Biden, actually, and what they tried to do with Jeb Bush and little Ronnie D. They're trying to astroturf these people in, but it's like the people say, I am not interested in more of that. But yeah, Joe Biggs, somebody we interviewed there, and we'll dig into that story a little bit more, but we are streaming in some new places today. We are in the Unhappy Hour Facebook group and the Unhappy Hour YouTube channel, because two of our top stories are going to be about sports related things. So let's jump into it right now. Blake, do you agree or disagree that Riley Gaines lost to that Thomas person because Riley actually, quote, sucks at swimming? I read this and couldn't believe what the quote was. I'm dying to get into the meat of this story. Do you agree or disagree with such a sentiment?
I am going to disagree. It's a pretty shocking statement, but it came from a very shocking person. But it was trending on Twitter for obvious reasons. So Riley Gaines out of Kentucky is basically like a national champion swimmer, but she lost to Lia Thomas, who used to be William Thomas, the trans athlete. And she has been outspoken and trying to get rid of biological males from women's sports. It's not fair for them to dominate. So, Brian, did you know who came up with this quote that she actually sucks at swimming?
No, I haven't seen it. I'm wondering if I should just guess and throw random darts with a blindfold, or should I, if you gave me a multiple choice, would you have 4 randos and I'd have to guess? Is this Jason Whitlock or Stephen A. Smith? Or I'm trying to figure out if it's an actual sports person. I'm guessing it's not a sports person.
Okay, how about this? It is a sports political person. It should be very deranged leftist, prominent on Twitter.
Oh, okay. Well, if you're giving me all of that as a clues, it's Blues Clues, if you will. Yeah. I would say Keith Olbermann.
Oh, you would be a winner. Here we go.
I am great at guessing games. I'm pretty good. I was on a game show and I won it, dude. I'm decent at guessing games. Right. Keith Olbermann is one of the most. This guy really needs to see a psychiatrist. Something is crap.
There's no help.
He used to be interesting and funny. No.
Yeah, I think he's just got some toxic narcissism. It just gets worse with age, and it's not going to get any better. There's no reasoning with him. He had a really great career, 80s, 90s, 2000s, and then he just totally went off the rails. Guy has a severe case of Trump derangement syndrome, and he's just like this angry man, ranting, raging on Twitter. And for every leftist cause, just nuts, and nobody wants anything to do with them. Where yes, he used to be on MSNBC or ESPN. I think he's impossible to work with, and so he has just been showing himself the door. You can't work with them, and now he's just stuck on Twitter with his angry yelling. So Riley Gaines was out on Twitter talking about defining women. Talking about the senator, I guess, in Nebraska. Establishing a women's bill of rights, but then Keith Olbermann decided to chime in and says, can you just address the reality and move past it? You sucked at swimming. That's why you lost.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And so Libby Emmons pointed out, did you know Lia Thomas ranked 462nd when he swam on the men's team maybe you want to reassess who really sucked at swimming.
Oh
So
my
a
God.
biological man decides to be a woman, changes name to Lia. Sounds like a bad 80s movie. And then dominates, goes number one. And now it's
A bad 80s movie. Have you ever seen oh geez, what was the one where the guy took tanning pills so that he could get a scholarship to go into a college and pretended he was black? I'm
there's
thinking I'm Gonna Get You Sucker, but that was a blaxploitation
no
with Jim Brown and Chris Rock, which is hilarious.
right. Yeah,
Tip of the
Remains,
tongue.
yeah.
But it sounds like a bad 80s movie. I'm sorry that and can we stop saying biological man? Can we just say man? Why are we having to qualify this? Like we're ceding a lot of language. I, I'm a stickler for language, and this is all getting convoluted with all of these changes. Anyway, continue. You said I'm going to look up that movie.
Right. Yeah, I know. I kind of think of it. I didn't see it, but I think I kind of know what you're talking about. There was some really bad, awkward movies during that time period, which is when I guess Keith was in his heyday as a ESPN commentator. Went into politics. Actually, did a pretty good job in MSNBC during the crazy Bush administration. But he's totally lost it now. So just no credibility. Nobody takes him serious.
He was also pretty crazy during that time as well. I know he was on your team as he was bashing Bush, but it's fair to bash in some ways, but like he's been pretty wacky for a very long time, not just recently. The name of that movie from 1986 is called Soul Man.
Oh God.
Soul Man. It's really funny. I recommend you check it out.
Oh God, I'm sure that really aged well.
Well, I mean, it's about a guy pretending to be something that he's not.
Right.
I mean, that's the crux of this story, right?
Yep. Yeah, pretty much. So I don't know how he was allowed to compete and win over these women, and she's rightfully has a reason to be angry. Yet she's like the bad guy in the leftist minds in this new reality that we're in. So anyway, so that was a interesting story today.
Sucks at swimming because she tied a dude who forced his way into that competition. Have you seen Billy Madison recently? I was going to watch I was going to go back and rewatch Happy Gilmore because of Bob Barker passing away at 99. I love that he got as close as he could to $1 without going over. That was the funniest meme going around. It was perfect. But in Billy Madison, he has to go back and complete elementary school to get his, I think you remember the plot of that.
Oh yeah. I haven't seen it in a while, but I've seen it like 15 times probably. That was what we did back in the days. Watch those VHS movies over and over again.
Over and over again. Yep. We did not have movies on demand like we do. I mean, we grew up in a totally different world, Blake. Yeah. It's so weird to think about. Like everything is on demand right now. We did not. We had what was on demand is what we recorded off the TV, and if we were lucky enough, we would clip the commercials out. And so then we'd have. I had stacks of The Simpsons, and it was just nonstop. What the heck point was I making?
About Lia Thomas somewhere in there? I don't know.
Yes. What about it? It was an awesome point. I lost the plot. I don't know.
All right, it was.
But this. This is. I totally lost it. If I go back and rewatch it, I'll remember exactly where I was going. Yes. But the point of this, I don't remember anymore, other than we're living in a crazy world. But it's like Billy Madison. That's the point I was making. Thank you. Ooh, was able to find it again. Oh, got to shake the cobwebs out of the old cranium.
It's Mercury retrograde. It happened.
And a supermoon.
Ooh,
it's a blue supermoon, as you'll see in Blake's fantastic thumbnail for today's episode. But in Billy Madison, he has to go back and pass all the grades so that he can, succeed and, whatever. So he's in elementary school. That's what a dude competing with chicks is. You're in elementary school playing dodgeball, and you are just blasting these kids. You remember that Saturday Night Live skit where Peyton Manning is throwing the football
that's great.
to the kids?
Classic.
Oh, it was great. And he's just blasting these kids. That's what this Thomas person is doing in the female realm. You don't belong there. Stay away, you creep. That is so creepy. Let the kids have their recess. Don't grab a dodgeball and be like, hey, I'm a 27-year-old dude. Bam! Like, you're a dude. Stay away. Fallon Fox in MMA. Don't crack ladies' skulls. Like, why do we have to repeat this stuff? Is this all because of Obama? Is all of this, all of it about the Obama spouse, all of this craziness, is that the crux of why we have guys and girls locker rooms now? Is that why they're trying to compete against people that don't have the dense bone structure? They don't have the muscle tone. They don't have the endurance. They don't have the strength. They don't have. It's Billy Madison, man. Is that a fair analogy?
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to infantilize. I think is infantilize a word?
Mercury
I don't want to
retrograde,
look
Brian. I don't know.
I'm not trying to compare women in sports to infants, but I'm saying it is the elementary school kids when Billy Madison walks up and he's just blasting you. They have no right to be in your space competing against you. Is that a fair analysis, a fair analogy, a fair
I think so.
comparison?
Yeah, men have no business competing in women's sports. That should be common sense, but it's not. And it might have something to do with Obama. Yes, we could make an argument that if Obama never existed, I don't know what the Democrats would have ran in 2008, probably Hillary Clinton. And I don't think it would have been anywhere near as crazy off the rails with the the social justice warrior stuff. But yeah, we had our first gay president and our first trans first lady, maybe. If we want to get controversial, I don't know if that's true or not, but some speculate that it might be. In fact,
all we know is that's what.
Yeah.
What were you saying?
Tucker Carlson was on an Adam Carolla show recently, and he's mentioning that he's actually going to speak to Obama's former, I guess, gay lover back in the day when he was a senator in Illinois.
Larry Sinclair,
yes.
That one?
Yes. And people have suspected, Michelle is Big Mike, and I don't care. I don't care what their lifestyle is, but the fact is that they were deceptive people that radicalized the country. And that is my problem with that. You wouldn't get elected president if people actually knew that truth. So I don't hold that against them if that's what they are. But it's policy I care about, and they were terrible. And a lot of people just absolutely loved it and have gone completely along with it and just become like cult followers now. And they go along.
Well, remember, if we're going to go back, and this isn't my theory, this is what Joan Rivers said. Everybody knows Michelle's a tranny. What? Well, how do you feel? She was officiating a gay wedding, and it was like, well, how do you? Oh, when will we have our first gay president? She's like, we already do. He's like, what? She's like, everybody knows Michelle is a tranny. He's like, I'm sorry, what?
Yep.
And then she was dead shortly later, really quickly after,
Yep.
in a normal routine Botox thing, or she's getting her eyelashes done and someone accidentally kills her with an ice pick, 47 stab wounds later. I don't know. She drowned on a paddleboard naked or something.
Poison. At the home. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, or poison. She got Breitbarted, Michael Hastings. I don't know.
Michael Hastings went out in a spectacular explosion that they covered up. And in fact, Joe Biggs went out there to go investigate in that. He was good friends with him just to make that connection. So, yeah, they actually, Hastings was out with Joe Biggs. That's how they met out in the war.
I didn't. Yeah. I didn't know that. I know Hastings, he was definitely, because what was his story? He was going after, was it Brennan at the CIA, right?
Yeah, he had some story he was trying to break about, what the deep state was involved in, was John Brennan or whoever, or Clapper. I'm not quite sure. It's been a while, but
I feel like it was Brennan.
I think so too.
He was very concerned. He thought that people were messing with his vehicle, and this one just took off and drove like 145 miles an hour straight into a tree, except the explosion caused the engine to go about a football field, maybe a football field and a half in the opposite direction. Like they're thinking it was remote controlled, and it was remote detonated as well. But these are all stories we hear. How much truth is in these? Well, some of it happened right up the road for where I was living. On many occasions, I would drive up that way and go, I feel like knocking on a bunch of doors and seeing if I can find some more, but I never felt like I was going to be able to glean that much new relevant information. There was a speeding car and then a big explosion, but part of me always regrets not just parking and knocking on doors. So Unholy Hoax, Blake, do you know Unholy Hoax? Leaving a very nice comment here saying, this is one of my favorite shows. Glad to be catching this one live.
Thank you very much. Glad to have your support. Thanks for tuning in.
Is this one of the people from your other shows, Blake? You do another show. Pitch that one real quick.
We do the Friday Night Power Trio with me and Mike Barra and Dr. Brooks Agnew. But I'm not sure if Unholy Hoax, we don't always have the chat going, so maybe I have not caught that. But it's great to have you here, regardless. So welcome.
Absolutely. And Dreamer Ultra puts Barbara Bush ? Talking about, were there fake first ladies that weren't really ladies?
And these are, I don't know.
A reptile.
I don't know about that, but I mean, think they were lizard people. Speaking of that, where's Kenneth?
Once you peel back the layers of all of the all the question marks, I don't use that word. I don't use that conspiracy theory word. That's a deep state word that is just been tried to use, that they've tried to use to marginalize people looking into what's actually going on. There's a Norm Macdonald joke about he's talking about cis. He brings up cis. I don't know. This was in 2015 or something. And someone says, cis, what is cis? He goes, oh, yeah, that's just a made up word that they use to marginalize normal people. And it's like, yes, that is great. Like, it's so perfectly articulated. But getting back to Obama for a second, it is fair to look back on the legacy. It is fair to look back and say in 2014, I believe it was 2014, that was when Biden deep state overthrew Ukraine and put this puppet up, this Zelensky character that plays the piano with his junk, so that we can. I saw a chart of the hundreds of billions of dollars that have been money laundered into this country right now as we are toying with a nuclear war with Russia. Remember, Russia. Oh, it's a Russian P-tape. It's Russian collusion. It's a Putin puppet. Remember that they said that nonstop? It's because the deep state and the military industrial complex are absolutely addicted to fucking around in other countries and killing members of your family, signing them up for military. Because it's like, yeah, God and country. Like, yeah, let's protect the homeland. And it's like, yeah, go over there and protect the poppy fields. You ever talk to the people out in Afghanistan that was their job? Protecting the poppy fields? I have.
Yeah.
It's gross. And then all of a sudden, heroin is just flooding through our country, killing our people here. When the Taliban was in charge, they didn't put up with any of that shit. They burned those poppy fields down, and it was not happening. Then look where we are now. We got all the fentanyl coming in from China up through Mexico, as well as God knows how many millions of military-aged males from parts unknown, to use a Anthony Bourdain line from his show, Parts Unknown. Or what was his something unknown? Parts Unknown? What was his show? Anthony Bourdain. Actually, he's another one, but we're not going down that rabbit hole. The point is, to look at the Obama legacy is very important right now because he's still in charge. There's a puppet. There's a meat corpse. Weekend at Bernie's clown named Joe Biden, who is doing the bidding of Barack Hussein Obama. And by the way, there's more of those birth certificate reports coming out now. I don't know if you've been catching wind of all of this, but every now and then the story rises back to the top. Was he ever? Yeah, Destination Unknown, Dreamer says, perhaps was the name of that. Parts Unknown, Destination Unknown. But, everything about this Obama administration has ruined the United States of America. All of this DEI, all this racial division. I mean, we grew up on the Cosby Kids. We grew up on In Living Color. Everything about Black culture was awesome. It was like, yeah, whites are lame and blacks are cool. And like, that's just the way it is. And everything on MTV was gay. And it's like, okay, I guess that's just the way it is. And it was just like, whatever. Everybody that I knew was just kind of like, whatever. Just this is society. As soon as Obama came in, every division that was possible, who you like to get off with, who you like to, the color of your skin or what continent your parents came from, everything was weaponized. Everything was used to divide and conquer, to drive wedges between Americans and just bring our country down because we've had it too good for too long. We've become a little uppity. We need to give a little bit back to these third world shitholes. And that's the legacy of Barack Obama. And we're living through it now. We have a completely corrupt administration that has gone bonkers, absolutely bonkers, attacking their main political rival. treason, a complete coup to overthrow the sitting United States president because they're not part of the deep state military industrial complex nonsense. So it's important to look back at all that. Now, that being said, I have another sports story that I want to get to before we get to the meat of today's show. So this one is going to be about cars that drive around in circles, and we want to get your thoughts. Here we go. All right. And by the way, you can check at the bottom. We got a crawler there. You can check all these places for countervailing views if you don't believe anything we're saying, because I don't know, we have to say that stuff out loud now. Never believe us. Trust yourself. Do your own research. That's not a slur. That's a promise. I want you to do your own research. So, Blake, this is a story that was not in our original stack today, but it was brought to my attention. I have sources everywhere. I have people that hit me up with the news, and things pop on my radar and they make me cringe. Kind of like how Dreamer Ultra said, he normally doesn't get affected by these types of things, these social issues like Riley Gaines. He goes, with reading the news, this story and this topic, it really bothered him. This one really bothered me. So let me go to this story. Has NASCAR gone full racist? Agree or disagree? So I actually typed this in. Man, you would be surprised what the search engines are not showing me about this story. They do not want this story out. So, of course, it needs to be at the top of our program, which is why we're broadcasting kind of for the first time on the Unhappy Hour Sports Show on YouTube and Twitter. So this year is about a program, NASCAR's 75th anniversary this year. Oh, that's so great. We are making some serious strides now, aren't we? So nothing spells diversity, equity, and inclusion like blatant racism. NASCAR has decided to double down on their commitment to wokeness by offering a full-time paid, quote, diversity internship, end quote, which specifically excludes white people, or as Stewie would say, white people. Yep, they're so woke, they're literally excluding people based on race now. So here's the program requirements. We'll scroll down to some more of the commentary. The above screenshot is from NASCAR's official career page for the diversity internship. As you can see in the program requirements section, the first bullet point states, be a member of one or more of the following races in ethnic minority classifications. Black or African American. I wonder if they can be both. American Indian or Alaska Native. Okay, you have to be one or both. Okay. Asian, Latino, or Hispanic, Native Hawaiian, or other Pacific Islander. Who's missing from this equation? Frankly, I'm just surprised they didn't call Latinos Latinx. This is nice. This is a nice snarky article. Where's this from? Boundingintosports.com. I couldn't find it. I typed 7 different versions of this, and all they pulled up was how awesome NASCAR is. I'm like, they are trying to bury this story for sure. So if you think this is messed up, you probably won't be surprised to learn that this is exclusionary racist, that this exclusionary racist criteria is also completely illegal. Probably. I'm not a lawyer. Right here, it shows a picture of the NASCAR diversity. I don't see a single white person or a single white male. I don't see a white female actually either. I don't know. I don't care particularly, other than when blatant racism comes to hit you in the face with the frying pan. Anyway, in an interview with the Daily Wire discussing NASCAR's exclusionary practice, Professor David Bernstein from George Mason University's Antonin Scalia Scalia. Look into Scalia in Obama if you want to consider legacy, Blake. But let's not go off on a sidetrack with that one. But Scalia died under very suspicious, it seemed obviously a criminal murder. It seemed like ripped out of a John Grisham plot to take out one of the Supreme Court justices. But what do I know?
Yeah, and replace him with Garland. That was their plan, I think. We'll just go with it.
Yeah, and that got blocked, luckily, but still, the point remains, Scalia had a lot to offer, and it's a shame that he died so quickly. Continuing. So, David Bernstein from George Mason University's Antonin Scalia School of Law confirmed, however, that what NASCAR did was, quote, blatantly illegal, quote, and that it appears to violate Title VII and the in the 1866 Civil Rights Act. Bernstein added, having a 100% quota for minorities for a position is illegal, even under a very generous view of what is allowed. What this also means is that any potential applicant who wanted to apply but couldn't, based on the grounds of race alone, would be well within their rights to sue on the grounds of equal employment. Maybe I should apply to this thing and just sue them. NASCAR's Drive for Diversity initiative includes programs such as the Pit Crew Development Program and the Driver Development Program aimed at mentoring and training minority and female candidates. Applicants must belong to specific ethnic minority classifications or be female, whatever that means. I would love to click on whatever that means because I'm sure it goes into the Thomas, the not lady swimmer situation to be eligible. Yet NASCAR's job listings assert that they are an equal opportunity employer. Recently, NASCAR faced backlash for various decisions, including suspending a driver for a social media action. I think he liked a post. He clicked like on a post related to that criminal George Floyd's death, and he was suspended by NASCAR. There's a growing trend of companies implementing race-based criteria for career opportunities, with tech giant Oracle also introducing such programs. Oh, Remso. I think I know Remso. I think I know who this person is who wrote this, maybe. But anyway, yeah, and they remember what they did with Bubba Wallace. They pushed that fake news story out there, and they had to do the photo op, and they made a big deal about it on ESPN, and all the race car drivers had to walk down the track holding hands, and we will not tolerate garage door ropes that can be used to pull the door down, and we are, like they're pretending to be civil rights leaders because of the Bubba Wallace hoax. So, Blake, I just gave you the whole story there that I saw. I mean, it might be the first time it's crossing your desk today. What are your initial thoughts? You agree or disagree? Gone full racist?
I don't know. I'm not too much into it. I hear what you're saying, but these are kind of one of those like hyperbolic things that the right-wing media likes to blow up, like the Daily Wire or whatever, make a huge deal. So it's a diversity internship. So I'm assuming that's maybe an unpaid position. It's some little rinky-dinky, who cares? But it's for diversity, so they want to attract people that are not white. Now NASCAR is like a sport, but it's 99% white probably, and they probably get affiliated with racism. And of course, the Bubba Wallace thing when they did that, and the Let's Go Brandon thing. So they have a target on their back by the woke mob, and so probably they're trying to appease by saying, "Hey, we're gonna get these diversity people, but they're interns, so I don't even know if they're paid or not." And then they're just going to have them be minorities, and then everybody's happy. So I'm not too worried about it. I mean, if you want to apply, I don't know how much money something like that pays, but there aren't a lot of white. Not that I don't follow NASCAR, but outside of Bubba Wallace, I couldn't name you or point out another prominent black person in that entire sport. So if they want to have their diversity interns, I just don't care. I got bigger battles, I guess, out there than that one. Because I know there was one, as a big one with like Best Buy. I don't know if they were like managers or something. It was like a really audacious one where that was like, oh, okay, we got to stop and say something about that. They can't be allowed to get away with that. But
this has been happening for decades.
This one's pretty tepid compared to what I thought it might be, or compared to Best Buy.
What was that little black book that you had in your left hand? It looked like you were reading some John Grisham during the show.
No, it's just a composition book. It's just writing notes. Sometimes I write notes when I'm talking, so I don't forget a point. That's it.
I used to do that.
Easily distracted. Like just one little thing will just, what's going on? What are you doing over there? Like, just go with the flow. Just keep your eyes on the ball, on the prize. All right. No, that's it. Just taking notes.
Got it. Yeah, when I used to do my show sitting down, I would always have a notepad. But when I stand, I don't take notes. I just have to kind of always remember. And then I catch myself going, what was I saying about Billy Madison? But I forgot it was Billy Madison, so I couldn't connect the story. But I eventually found it. And I did bring up the movie Soul Man. Came out in 1987. Watch the movie Soul Man. That's your homework for today. It's a movie about a guy pretending to be something he wasn't. And it might...
Yeah, where are you going to find it?
There's a line in there about watermelon and a hypodermic needle, and it is friggin' ridiculous.
Check your local pawn shops, and maybe you'll see it in the quarter DVD bin or something. Right.
There are some VHS that go for good money, by the way. I was in a thread. Yeah, $200. The last VHS
They
ever
probably
produced.
didn't even put that on DVD, did they? Probably.
Oh no, I meant VHS. If I said
VHS, that's where you would find it. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. 1986. But what is this? Dreamer saying they should consider somehow marketing the cars with various gender, race, and religious symbols or flags or slogans so we can cheer more diversely. Yeah, and that reminded me, I had a question about MMA. I don't know, Blake, if you're big into the fight scene. We were talking about Fallon Fox, the guy that says he's a girl who likes to crack the skulls of ladies.
I've seen that.
Some people champion that as brave and stunning and brave. There's nothing stunning and brave about doing that. But the question was like, how many people root for in those fights for someone that looks like them, someone that talks like them, someone that shares the same skin pigment? Like, are you rooting for the Russian because you're part Russian? Are you rooting for the black guy because you're black? Are you rooting for for a Conor McGregor because you're part Irish? Like how much of this is just, I want to kick the crap out of somebody who looks not like me? And I don't know the answer to that. What do you think?
Yeah. Part of it is exactly what they associate with. So yes, it could be the Conor, or maybe it's not the black person. Maybe it's the American, regardless of, whatever. So yeah, you get to try to find some people that you like. I used to watch some of that stuff like back in the day. I might like, Ken Shamrock, and I didn't like, Tito Ortiz. But then I watched the reality show and I go, wow, Ken Shamrock's actually a dick and Tito Ortiz is actually okay. So, some of those people, I developed, people I liked, people I didn't. I don't watch it much anymore because it kind of priced me out of the sport. I don't want to pay a bunch of money for those pay-per-views, although some of it's free. I just haven't watched it like I used to, but I used to be really into that stuff. And I still think it's interesting. I just haven't followed it.
And that is, it's reminiscent, at least in some degree, to some degree, like the Olympics. I'm going to typically root for the Americans. I know the U.S. women's national team is very easy to root against them because they are so abrasive. They are like, it's so easy to root against them. They're so unlikable and complainy. And it's just weird because you almost never root against your own country. Look at you with your American flag in the back there.
Yes, and my USA Snoopy, right?
USA Snoopy, yes. That is well done. Well done. What do we have coming up? We have a holiday this weekend, right? What is it? Labor Day.
Yeah. We sure do.
Any plans for Labor Day, Blake?
Next week?
Are you gonna?
No, it's this weekend. Yeah.
Monday. Yeah, I think.
I don't know if I have any particular plans. It's just going to be a huge football weekend, so that's exciting for college, and then next week is with the NFL. So, but that's nice.
Right. Oh. I was outside yesterday for the supermoon, the blue moon.
That was pretty epic. That was extraordinarily bright and large, and had that almost like a blue halo. It's very, very cool.
Yeah, I went and got a couple of craft beers, some Great Lakes beers from Cleveland, and had half a cigar but you could feel fall in the air. I actually went in and got an extra, like a hoodie. I got a zip up, and I was like, whew, it's a little chilly. And it was chilly again this morning. It's like fall is here. Like we've gone through summer. We're moving into the next phase. So such is life. Okay, moving into the next phase of our program. Next topic. All right. The biggest story in the world right now is President Donald Trump. And if you have not seen his truth storm, I encourage you to do so. It used to be called a Twitter storm. But man, he released a bunch of 90-second videos that are just, this is the Trump that you fell in love with in 2015. It is focused Trump. It's to the point Trump, not rambling and not like just focused and just bite-sized, nailing it Trump. But of course, there's developments in the nonsensical situation he is going through today. Wow, that's an alliteration there. 444, Blake says. We have him until today. That's excellent. We got plenty of time to suss out the cool stories of the day. We've already done really well batching those sports stories together. I felt made sense.
Two
Does that make
sports
sense?
shows, topics that weren't necessarily going to be at the front of the show, and it only took 40 minutes. So we're doing great, Brian. That's good. Yeah.
All right. Well, NASCAR would still suspend us. They probably wouldn't like what we were up to. I don't know. I digress. But what about this one? So do you agree or disagree that Donald Trump should have pled guilty for his scheme, as Blake calls it, to overturn the election today? Should he have pled guilty, Blake?
No, because it's not a scheme. It's not a conspiracy. It's not a RICO thing. It's just a political prosecution by the leftist radical Democrats. So, and he had every right to complain about what was going on there in Georgia. It was shady as hell. And he wants to call that out. He can. Democrats certainly cry foul all the time when they think they lose elections. It should be fair for Trump to do it himself. And now they're trying to turn this into a big racketeering conspiracy. And it's BS. And none of them should plead guilty, should fight it, or just not even show up. It's insane. So this is Banana Republic shit. But anyway.
I like, ooh, Blake bringing out a cuss word. He rarely does that. Nice.
Sometimes, yeah.
So maybe encouraging him to not even show up as well. That was an aggressive legal suggestion there.
No, definitely do not take my legal advice because I do not know anything about that. That is not my expertise at all. But this is
or his investment advice or his medical advice.
Right.
Essentially, don't believe us with anything. Go do your own research and your own homework because we think you are adults and you're allowed to take what we say with a grain of salt because fuck you if you can't.
Ultimately, people have to trust themselves at the end of the day.
Yes.
Just take as much information as you can from different angles, different perspectives, and put it together yourself. I will be right probably 90% of the time, maybe even more. But the one time you think, well, Blake's got it, then I'm going to be wrong on that 5 or 10% and really let you down. You're going to be mad at me. You're going to be so disappointed. How did he get that one wrong when he got so much of it right?
I know it happens though. Look, you can make it into the Hall of Fame in baseball if you get 3 hits out of every 10. Those are not astronomical odds there. That's very doable, very winnable. So walk us through the story here. I mean, this is what, just procedural?
Yeah.
Any major ramifications with today's actions?
Yeah, so he won't appear for the arraignment, enters not guilty plea in his Georgia RICO case, along with the 13 conspiracy felony counts and all of the other people. It's this nice graphic here of all of the people, a 41 count indictment and 30 unindicted co-conspirators that we have here. So this is quite amazing that this is happening here in America.
So who can arrest this Fanny person who's doing this? There's going to be another strongly worded letter from the wimps up on Capitol Hill. Jim Jordan's going to look at something, and McCarthy's going to, he's going to hold an investigation. There's going to be a hearing. These guys are going to play their little game while they get completely punched in the face by the Democrats like they always do. The Republicans never freaking do anything. These guys are the biggest wimps, or they're in on it, or they're all in on it.
Yeah, I don't think they're all in on it.
Or are they in on it?
But it's probably like 75% at least that are all in on it, or they're compromised and they got to go along with it. So it's a real mess. And it's hard to go against the grain there, against the deep state. And they'll find ways. You get like a Madison Cawthorn, you get some young guy who's going to try to make waves, and they will absolutely destroy him. Or they turn the tables on Marjorie Taylor Greene. There's a few. You get them. You think they're going to do good things, and then the deep state finds their ways or finds the dirt and uses their leverage and turns it against the people again.
And so Cawthorn and Taylor Greene, it was because they both like to have sex. That was what they got them
Well,
with.
Cawthorn, he was exposing some of that stuff that he probably should have kept his mouth shut in hindsight. But that's what happens when you're, young like that and not thinking of the consequences and what you're really up against. And so
He needed to keep his mouth wide shut.
yeah, there you go.
He needed to keep his mouth wide shut. About swinger parties, and that's what MGT is rumored to participate in. And she's gotten very chummy with McCarthy, and McCarthy promised we're going to release all the J6 footage. You're like, oh, well, that's good, because there's like hundreds and hundreds of undercover feds in the audience. Like, how many of these people were actively participating in opening doors and moving barricades and causing violence and setting people up? It's pretty important that we see that. And then crickets, and then nothing. So all of what Matt Gaetz and Marjorie Taylor Greene, what they swore up and down, you can only become speaker if you promise to do these couple of things, or else we will retain the power to remove you. Okay, I'll do it. And he hasn't done it. And nobody's holding him accountable. Nobody, Blake.
Right. So.
And also talking about the deep state, what was that quote from Chucky Schumer, one of the worst liars? And he said he warned Trump about crossing the deep state because they have 1,000 ways to get you. It's like, holy shit, has our country been overthrown by mobsters? They killed JFK. Like, everybody's just supposed to be okay with this? Am I missing something? I must have missed a chapter in this book. When did this shit become okay? And it's like openly discussed. I guess it's always been this way, and the smart ones just play the game and shut your mouth, or it's gotten super bad since Obama, or
it was Obama, Bush. I'm sure Clinton,
Kennedy.
Yeah, it's been going on a long time, incrementally, and it's gotten much worse, and probably really kicked off into the 90s, 2000s, and ever since. But yes, to go off on that, there was that was just in the news here. Tucker Carlson talking about the old Chuck Schumer clip from 2017, talking about that was
he brought that up. I'm sorry. Did he bring that up on Corolla? I haven't seen that one. I saw a clip where he talks about how he's concerned that they were going to JFK Donald, and Tucker did tell Donald to his face. Is that same clip where that came up again?
Well. Yeah, he's talking about the Schumer clip that Trump was really dumb for attacking intelligence agencies. That from Chuck Schumer, and they've got they have 6 ways from Sunday at getting back at you. He said that on Maddow, and to kind of threaten them, and they certainly did. They've done everything they could to destroy Trump, and he's got
almost everything.
Yeah, and so outside of going for the assassination, which they might do, that was also mentioned on that show recently with Carlson and Corolla, talking about that's what's going to be next. If these going after him for this lawfare is just making him more popular. It's just giving him the more the populist message. It's resonating, and they might have to kill him next.
And we're talking about NASCAR and Obama's legacy of just being the greatest, and by greatest I don't mean the best. I mean the largest racial arsonist that American politics has ever known. You've heard, oh, Trump's a racist. You go, well, based on what? What quote are you like what policy, what quote? They go, he's a racist. And you go, well, tell me why did you come to that conclusion? They never have an answer. Have you experienced that?
No.
That you ask, or you see the conversation and they go, okay, well, what about Trump is racist? And they go, I don't know.
Right. They're just hearing it from these leftist hacks in the media. They're bought and paid for, and they're saying it. And so they're just regurgitating the propaganda. But then when you call them out on it, they have no idea what the source is. Because there never was one. It's just, it was something, a person on TV, so it must be real.
Now, I don't know if you've seen over the past few days, especially since the mugshot, I am seeing video after video after video. And I saw an interesting one with Larry Elder talking to, what's that guy's name? Charlemagne. He calls himself a god. I mean, where did he get off with that crap? What is that crap about? Man. I'm a god. Am I missing the point of that name? No. Like, how sacrilegious can you be? I'm a god. I don't
people,
know. That
their
is,
ego, it goes right to their head. Yeah, they get a little bit of power, a little attention, and they think they're something special. And he's got a big
well,
audience.
Charlemagne asks Larry Elder. I didn't watch the whole interview, but I caught a clip, and he said, I think he asks him, he says to Larry, have you ever, so we're talking about election rigging, right? RIGGING. If you're participating in that, you're a rigger. So Charlemagne says to Larry, have you ever heard of a rigger? But it didn't say that. He said something similar to it, a rigger wake-up call. And he goes, that's where a person of color is shocked out of their daily existence with a harsh experience with racism. And Larry goes, well, it may shock you to hear this, but I am keenly aware that I'm black, Charlemagne. He goes, a wake-up call. You mean like the time that Joe Biden came in here and told you to your face that if you don't vote for Democrats, you ain't black? He goes, yeah, well, I didn't take that personally. He goes, you should have. You should have. That was your wake-up call, and you chose to ignore it. And it's like, God, that was a great interaction. Larry is so good. You and I can't say some of these things. Larry can. Larry's lived it. Larry doesn't make excuses. Larry succeeds. He just keeps going. But what I was getting at is I've seen so many videos, especially since the Trump mugshot. Black America is supporting Donald Trump in a way that I've never seen before. And he made enormous inroads to with the HBCUs to say, like, every year you guys come with your hat in your hand begging for money for allocated funds. He goes, I'm going to fund you in perpetuity now. You don't have to ask. Like, you're funded. He's like, huh? Like, forever, in perpetuity. Like, Trump went out of his way to connect with the black population in the United States. And I think it was the largest black turnout for a Republican candidate in, what do they say, 60 years, something like that, maybe 60 years. I am seeing so many videos recently within the past week of people, I mean, over and over and over, just from different corners of the country. Hey, last time around, I felt this way, but I can't believe what's happening. I'm Donald Trump. I'm supporting him. I'm voting for him. Last time, I just kind of kept it to myself. I was worried that some of my friends might, they might look at me differently. He's like, but person after person, video after video, they're going, I'm with Donald Trump 100%. I can't believe what they're doing to him. If there was a landslide last time, and a lot of us believe that there was, if you take out the drop boxes and the no signature verifications and go down the laundry list. It was the least secure election in American history. But by the way, go to see countervailing claims at the bottom there. You can go ahead, CISA.gov/rumor control, because they think it was the most safe and secure election in history. But when you got drop boxes, when you have mail-in ballots at the level that occurred during COVID because of emergencies, anyway, people have had it. And his support, if you thought that there was a blowout last time, which I do, there is going to be a monumental blowout in 2024, all things considered. But yeah, Blake, so if Trump should not plead guilty for a scheme to overturn this, when he gets reelected, will he or should he seek revenge on his political enemies? Blake, agree or disagree that he should seek revenge on his political enemies when given that next term?
Seems a little harsh, but I have to agree. You got to turn this around. This can't happen, especially when they've been wrong on what they've been doing. They've already impeached him twice and failed. They've manufactured the whole Russian thing. They smeared an innocent man of a crime he was not involved with. So they're going to keep continuing this stuff until he's either jailed or dead. And so these are the dangerous people. This is why we put Trump in there, to go after these swamp creatures that have hijacked our country. And I think they hijacked the 2020 election. And they're arresting their political opposition. So it's time. It's us or them. And I wouldn't want to do this. I'd like to just have a conversation, get everybody on the same page. They don't want that. They want to silence us and throw us away, throw the key away. They're dangerous for this country, the future, everything. So they are not representative of what America stands for. So this is also coming from, it's actually a video clip from Glenn Beck I didn't even watch yet. So maybe we should check that out and see what Trump says in his own words. This out of Summit News. Trump vows to lock up sick, evil people trying to destroy him. Says he has no choice because they're doing it to us. And yeah, they've done it first. So now they've set the precedent. And so now they are opening themselves up if he gets elected. And they're going to be doing everything possible to make sure that he's not elected. And if they got to kill him, they will do that too. So let's see if we can watch a clip here from Glenn Beck.
In 2016, lock her up. And then when you became president, you said, we don't do that in America. That's just not the right thing to do. That's what they're doing. Do you regret not locking her up? And if you're president again, will you lock people up?
Well, I'll give you an example. The answer is you have no choice because they're doing it to us. I always had such great respect for the office of the president, the presidency, but the office of the president. And I never hit Biden as hard as I could have. And then I heard he was trying to indict me, and it was him that was doing it. You know, I don't think he's sharp enough to think about much, but he was there, and he was probably the one giving the order. But he was, hard to believe that he even thinks about that because he's gone. But then I said, well, they're actually trying to indict me because every one of these indictments is him, including Bragg. Bragg put his top people. I don't know if you know this. He put his top person into the office of the Manhattan District Attorney. They've been in total coordination with Fannie Willis. The woman that I never met that they accused me of rape, that's being run by a Democrat operative and paid for by the Democrat Party. So many of these things. I have a couple of other lawsuits, all funded against me by the Democrat Party. These are sick people. These are evil people.
Yeah. So, good stuff. I think
sick, evil people. Yeah, and you had once posited, put out there as a potentiality. That maybe just get him an island somewhere and just say, hey, we're rounding you up and we're taking you to an island.
Right. Well, I was thinking Guantanamo, right? Because everybody says Guantanamo. They all got to go down to Guantanamo. Trust the plan, blah, blah, blah. But why not just leave them there in D.C.? Just cut D.C. off. Let all the good people in, or, if they want to leave, bring them in, and then know that the bad people are not allowed to leave. Or if they do leave, they can go somewhere else, but they can't stay here. They can't go back to their home state because people don't want them there. They're going to have to go to another country, or they're welcome to just stay in D.C. But they've lost their privileges of what they've done to this country and stolen our money, sold us out. So just leave them out there. Let the states.
I want to do a callback to the NASCAR thing real quick, reading a quote from Dreamer Ultra, just because it kind of connects here. He says he would cheer for an atheist driver knowing that he's going nowhere if he crashes. Kind of interesting, but linking that back biblically, people always like to say that America was built as on the foundations of a Judeo-Christian principles. And looking at the 9th commandment here, how dumb are we to not just read this basic thing? Thou shalt not bear false witness against your neighbor. Donald Trump has been framed and set up by the deep state. This is completely untrue. All of these things have been untrue. They're deceptive. They're misleading. These are not, they start the rumors and then they try to implicate and then they try to destroy. These people are in clear violation of that if you care for such things. And if you don't care about such things, he's the most framed political figure in American history, hands down. There's nobody even remotely close to the amount of persecution that Donald Trump has gone through. On general principle alone, you have to vote for Donald Trump. You can not like his tweets. You can falsely believe he told people to drink bleach. You can think he's got a Russian P tape. You can think he's a rapist. You can think anything you want about Donald Trump that isn't true. And that was actually a quote that I used to wear on my jacket. It was, people can say whatever they want about me as long as it isn't true. I went through some stuff in college I was running for student government president, and I was putting on concerts, and I was writing for the newspaper. So it was kind of like I was in the paper every day, and I was starting to see all sorts of ridiculous stuff. And it's just like, all right, Dorothy Parker quote. Yep, I don't care. You can say whatever you want about me as long as it isn't true. But Donald Trump has been framed, and it's bearing false witness. These people that think they know better, this deep state cabal, this, call it revenge or call it justice. It's really just justice at this point. These people have framed an innocent man over and over again, and there must be repercussions. They have to be taken out of general population. They have to be indicted. The Fannie Willises, pick out all the prosecutors that are pulling these schemes, all the people, the Kinzinger and Cheney and whatnot. These people need to be behind bars. They've committed egregious crimes, treason of the highest order, high crimes and misdemeanors, a coup. There are penalties. There are penalties for these things. At least there used to be. And if it's really turned into a death match between Biden and Trump. It's going to be, they're all in. It really is an MMA fight to the death. This really is, it's a battle to the end, to the pain.
They stole the election, and now they run the Justice Department. And so now you have them. They can do blatant crimes in front of everybody, not get in any trouble. And then they're going to go persecute Trump and just make up stuff, run fishing expeditions. So as we can see here, Joe Biden pushed for Shokin to be fired by threatening to withhold $1 billion aid money from Ukraine, which we already know. He's confirmed that they know what's going on. It's right in their face. And we're going to keep running this flashback about Biden, bribing, getting the Ukraine prosecutor fired because to save Hunter and his job.
I remember going over convincing our team or others to convincing us that we should be providing for loan guarantees. And I went over for, I guess, the 12th, 13th time to Kyiv, and I was supposed to announce that there was another $1 billion loan guarantee. And I had gotten a commitment from Poroshenko and from Yatsenyuk that they would take action against the state prosecutor, and they didn't. So they said they were walking out to press conference. I said, no, I'm not going to, we're not going to give you the $1 billion. They said, you have no authority. You're not the president. The president said. I said, call him. I said, I'm telling you, you're not getting the $1 billion. I said, you're not getting the $1 billion. I'm going to be leaving here. And I think it was, 6 hours? I said, I'm leaving in 6 hours. If the prosecutor's not fired, you're not getting the money. Well, son of a bitch. Got fired. And they put in place someone who was solid.
Somebody who is solid will go along with the Biden corruption.
You want to talk about RICO? Why has he not been indicted, impeached, and removed yet? Like, he is a completely compromised Manchurian candidate. It's all in front of us. Where is the brave district attorney? Who can't somebody save us? We are truly a nation in distress. By the way, there's a big rumor going around now that Zelensky's going to be on his way out, that they're going to force him out of the position and put another hack in there. We'll keep our eyes peeled on that to see how that shakes out. But Blake, that clip is just, it's damning. There's nothing about that is not damning, impeachable, jailable. It's treasonous. I mean, they've got us on the verge of World War III because of them screwing around in Ukraine after they toppled their democratically elected president to put in their puppet over there before they went, if we could get away with that in Ukraine, let's do it here in America. And they did it here in America. By the way, for countervailing views, go to cisa.gov/rumor control because they think this is the most secure election in the history of all things.
Right. It was pretty audacious when that one guy came out there and actually said that in court. I forget who it was, but I don't know how they could make that kind of guarantee when they knew about all the drop boxes and all that stuff. But they
brought 50 some intelligence officials, these corrupt people who are bearing false witness. They're framing. They are covering up for Hunter Biden's laptop from hell that shows he's a completely compromised and potentially blackmailed hack that's putting our country in grave danger. And they all came out and lied because they wanted Biden to get in the office to assume the position. They said, what was it, like 20% of people would have changed their votes had they known that the Hunter Biden laptop was accurate. I mean, that's collusion. That's election interference. That is the overthrow of a sitting United States president. That's called treason. That's a coup. There are penalties for this.
Yeah, there should be.
Going to arrest them and enforce the penalties.
Well, who's going to do it? Unless there's an interregnum and Trump is actually secretly the president and he controls the military, we're kind of stuck. So I don't know who's the white knight who's going to come in here and save the day if even Trump's getting a mugshot. But just to show you the double standard, yeah. So we've got Biden caught red-handed, openly bragging about getting the prosecutor fired in Ukraine. And then we've got Garland, Department of Justice, telling Jim Jordan it will not cooperate with the Hunter-related subpoenas. So they want to get answers, and they're just going to block it. Like I said, if you run the Justice Department, it's easy to protect your own. So that's what's going on. Meanwhile, we can go here with Joe Biggs, another political. They just gave him 17 years. Poor guy's sobbing in court, never going to see his kid again, perhaps. Hopefully he gets out. 17. Hopefully he'll get pardoned right away. I just don't know how this is going to happen. Now, the government wanted 33 years. So I guess they were okay with doing half. So he walked into the Capitol building for approximately 20 minutes on January 6th. Noted prior offenders who were found guilty of seditious conspiracy had all murdered people or attempted to murder masses of people or bombed or attempted to bomb buildings or committed violent crimes. But the federal judge proceeded to throw the book at a decorated veteran who earned 2 Purple Hearts while serving in the Iraq and Afghanistan wars. So now I guess his mother's ill with cancer, and she's trying to struggle raising their 6-year-old daughter. It's just you can't visit her son in jail, or she's going to get terminated from her job. It's just sick. But if it was Antifa and they, were involved in violence or arson or whatever, they probably would have been, let go already. So it's just amazing, the double standard. And it's sick watching the liberals celebrate. They're so happy to see, war hero get 17 years because he walked into the Capitol because he's not on, their political side of the aisle. So we're in some pretty shocking times. And just to go into another thing, Brian, I don't know if you've seen this great interview here with Tucker Carlson.
Some of it, yes. Not the entire thing, but I've seen a few clips. Yeah.
Yeah, just talking about the shocking corruption and how we shouldn't get involved with, fighting in Russia and getting out of this Ukraine war. And then if Trump was here, that's our only hope of getting out of the Ukraine war. Because we might be looking at
save me, Obi-Wan Kenobi. You're my only hope.
Yeah, he's the only rational adult, and it's been the only great foreign policy president that the world has seen in decades. We've been totally corrupt, this military industrial complex and all the bases and all of the invasions. We finally had some sanity for 4 years with Trump, and now we're going back to this. And now we're pushing
the first president in our lifetime, Blake, the first president in our lifetime that hasn't dragged us into some unnecessary foreign conflict where our neighbors or our family members are killed for no reason. The first president to keep us out of that crap and focus on making this country a little bit better. Did you want to play the clip?
I'm going to run a quick part of this clip because it ties into what we were just talking about. So here we go.
Let's ask you one last question about Trump, since you.
Let's see if it actually works.
Well, per usual, it'll stall, and then we'll think about sending me the link, and then I'll click the link, and I'll pull it up in a tab, and then I'll go to click play, and then yours starts again. That's usually how the process works.
Yeah, up a couple of times. You were just in an election that I know your staff was worried you might lose. There was an open question. You won pretty sizably, but it was a real election.
Oh, it was.
Did you consider at any point just indicting your challenger on fake documents charges and trying to?
Well, Brian, I don't know if you want to pick that one up, but it's about 28:30. Wonder if I can.
I believe in this clip. I believe in it. I think it's going to play. So he asks him, have you won your election?
Yeah.
And did you think about throwing your political opponent in jail? And I'll say hello to Jocelyn, who's joining us.
We have
now.
some
Thank you,
bad
Jocelyn.
chapters of our history, but that kind of civilian war, cold civilian war, was not part of our culture. So we can beat each other, we can argue against each other, but to do what's going on now in some countries and even in your country, to use the justice system against the political opponents. In Hungary, I think it's impossible to imagine. That was done by the communists. It's a very communist methodology to do that. So in Hungary, we are all aware that we disagree on many things, ideology, values.
All right, well, might stop there. But Hungary was under communist Russian occupation for a long time. So they know what it's like to be occupied and have that kind of corruption going on. And he's warning against us. He's not like picking sides per se. He's just saying the Russians are a different animal. We're not winning that war. They're not going to win that war. They're just throwing these Ukrainian soldiers into a meat grinder.
It's so terrible. The numbers of Ukrainian men that are just being eliminated. Every time somebody gets killed, a family is just wrecked. Absolutely wrecked. You can never rebuild what's taken away when you take a young soul off of the earth. And they just don't give a shit. And they're just addicted to it. They make some money. They get to go on a vacation and drive a fancy car. So they sell their fucking soul to kill hundreds of thousands of people like it's nothing. The world's too populated anyway. Too much carbon. Yeah, just, thinning of the herd. That's just what we got to do. We got to send but somebody else's young boys off to go die. And I'm just like, nobody wants that except the sociopaths. So just grab them and do what you must. Yeah. There's a legal system for psychopathic serial killers, aren't there? I mean, they're just serial killers at this point. These people are bearing false witness so that they can frame innocent people for things that they're doing. The number one thing that they do is they project what they are doing actively onto others. They're psychopaths. So yeah, I wonder, Tucker was recently over there interviewing him. He was in Hungary, right? The story was out that he was trying to get that Vladimir Putin interview. I wonder if he got that interview when he was over there. I wonder if that's already in the can. I wonder if he's already got that. Because that was our story on Tuesday. Should Tucker Carlson have this interview? It's like, yes, a little less conversation, a little more action. How about a little less fucking fighting, a little more conversation?
Yeah, that would make sense. But it was interesting. Yeah, the Krasensteins and every leftist media hack is against it. Like, no, you just got to sit there and, parrot the propaganda from the DNC. Like, no, you can't talk to this person. Why not? Why shouldn't we get every perspective we can? That's what journalism is. But they've changed the definition now to just be, mindless order followers. It's regime. It's like we're in a communist regime. It's amazing. So none of these people have any balls. Anyway.
Well, yeah. Well, by the way, welcome to Post Joy. You put that up there. She was just told about this show yesterday. So glad I caught it live. You guys are rocking the truth. Thanks. How much, Blake? How much did you pay her to say that? Was that on Fiverr? We got to go on Fiverr and tip them $5. How did you find us? How were you told about our show yesterday? We love to hear these stories. Unless you know
Post Joy. Yeah, she's been on the with Mike Barra show. Yeah, she's a frequent guest. I haven't seen the show, so it's good to see faces.
Heck yeah. And thanks to the Debster saying that was a pretty good Elvis impersonation. I don't know that I do that very often, so thanks for that. I appreciate it. Okay, well, that's what we're talking about with Trump. That's what we're talking about. All of the framing that is being done, the bearing false witness to try to frame an innocent man and ruin his life. And by the way, he says it all the time, and it might be his number one campaign slogan. They're not coming after me. They're coming after you. I just happen to be in the way. That is the #1 winning bumper sticker. That he needs to say that every time he's in front of an audience, because my God, it is so true. So let's pivot off of this one about Trump and move into our next topic here. Once I get there we go. Here it is. All right. Well, these next two topics are pretty much more in line with the title of today's show, Traitorous Media Colludes with Democrat Deep State, because it is the Democrat Deep State. The Deep State are the Democrats, the globalists, the Marxists, the communists. They have taken over, and they're not part of the Republican Party. They're not libertarian. They are the Democrats. Like they have colluded. The Deep State and the Democrats are the same thing at this point. The eggs are scrambled. The cake is baked. So Blake, I feel like Eminem from our topic that we brought up about Vivek being told cease and desist, doing an Eminem song. The cake is now baked. So Blake, agree or disagree that the corrupt intel agencies in DC's uni-party are ushering in the end of democracy? The favorite phrase of the deep state, the end of democracy. We're a constitutional republic, by the way, but agree or disagree that the DC Uniparty and the intel agencies are ushering in the end of democracy?
Yes, I am going to agree. And in fact, that was also said by Tucker Carlson. We kind of previewed this briefly, saying corrupt intel agencies in the DC Uniparty are ushering in the real end of democracy. And that kind of ties into that Chucky Schumer quote as well. Tucker Carlson admitted Wednesday he's never been worried about anything as much as he is about where the country is headed under a deep state that repeatedly targets its political enemies and rigs elections instead of acting on the voters' desires. Yeah, we don't count anymore. It's about whatever the deep state wants, whatever the intelligence decides. They've got their own, and they are, with the World Economic Forum and the world elites or the New World Order or what have you. They have their own agenda and goals for humanity and the future. But to kick off the question, Corolla was showing the Carlson a clip, which we already showed, Chuck Schumer telling Rachel Maddow that it was dumb for Trump to take on the intelligence community. They have 6 ways from Sunday at getting back to you. And Carlson said that every time he hears those words, it renders him speechless. He's saying that's the end of democracy. I don't know how you can, in the same sentence, say, I'm for democracy, and then say, actually, our country is run by a shadowy intel agency that no one elected and no one has oversight over.
Amen.
And here,
and we're just supposed to accept that as just, that's just the way it is. No. It had nope. This is the last exit. The train is running off the track. You better jump now, because you've seen the end of Thelma and Louise. I know that's a dated reference, but that car is getting ready to careen off of the edge of that cavern, that chasm rather. And there is no going back. If this is not remedied, there is no more. We're all toast, Blake. This is why it's so urgent. You and I would rather be talking about fantasy football or maybe music. We'd talk about music or comedy, movies, comedians.
Absolutely. I never wanted to talk about politics. I never wanted to get into journalism. None of this. It's taken my life completely off track. It's given me a purpose, I guess.
That's true.
But
That's true.
Yeah, this is not the way I thought things were going to happen. But it's been a very frustrating experience, although it has its moments. But I'm actually going to segue even into another part of these captions here, that with the media being controlled by intel agencies with hosts reading propaganda. We can kind of tie these two together. Let's see if I can run this clip, because Tucker dropped another bombshell in this interview. It's about Wolf.
I worked with Wolf for.
Let's see. I'm going to send.
Well, it's always going to do this. It's always going to stall.
Years, never had a problem with him. It was always nice. you know, no one wants to hear it. I'm sure most people won't believe it, but I can tell you, having lived it for many years, it's true. The intel agencies have a big effect on what is broadcast on television.
So even that's a good pause.
And what you see on Facebook and Google as well. I mean, they're all up and down.
Intel agencies all over broadcast media and social media.
Facebook and Google, as I'm sure you know.
And remember what I was telling you about trying to find that NASCAR story. Oh, the search engine did not want to tell you about how they're...
You know, there are a lot of anchors.
Well, I sent that to you, Brian. I don't know if you want to pull it up at like about the 1 minute mark. I'll give it one more shot here. We don't have to run much of the clip, but I just wanted to get a part of the highlight.
Who, including people like...
Yeah,
I think like let's here pause that video. From now on, I think you're going to have to send me these.
Oh, okay.
The one you sent me was his interview with Hungary and Ukraine.
Oh,
Viktor Orban.
All right, we'll check this one. We'll start it at the 1 minute mark. Yeah, I guess it's overloading my satellite internet.
Yeah, it's consistently failing us. So I do have sharp internet here. So we're gonna have to do that. You'll have to send me these in advance. All right, Tucker confirms that the media is controlled by Intel. And now what? His dad worked in Intel, right?
Yeah,
that was where he came from.
Yeah.
All right, let me. I have it pulled up here, but it's not playing. How do I pause it? Oh my goodness. Okay, there we go. Yeah, we'll have to change how we play. I would much rather prefer that you do it because I got a million other widgets on my. But
Brian never shuts down his computer. He just has open tabs all the time, and then he just makes his computer sleep. And then he just wakes it up with the.
Brian never shuts his computer down, and Blake never shuts.
Never allows it to sleep. It's sleep deprivation torture.
That's kind of funny.
Computer can just never reset itself. It's just constantly being woken up as soon as okay. But anyway, all right, Brian, go ahead.
Here we go. Let's try this again.
What's your take on a Wolf Blitzer type? Because
I'm sorry, what?
Okay, go ahead.
What were you saying? Start it somewhere else?
I was going to say start at the 1 minute mark. That's kind of where I left off on that. I kind of skipped over the little bit of fluff there.
Okay, here we go. In theory, it'll play. In theory, it's thinking about it.
Oh, yours won't work either. It's the deep state conspiracy. They're watching our show. They're shutting us down, man. Well, maybe not, but it sure seems like a coincidence sometimes, doesn't it, Brian? Things just fail at weird times. I can't really describe it. So I don't know. I don't have a transcript for it, but he is mentioning that there's prominent people that are in the media. He would know. He's been there forever. So he's saying they just read word for word propaganda that's coming down straight from the intelligence agencies. So they're not real journalists. They're not, going discerning the truth to bring out to people. That used to be how news networks competed, was by bringing the real truth to people.
There are a lot of anchors who, including people I know well and have worked with at different networks. I'm thinking of one in particular, a national security reporter, who was just a mouthpiece for the Pentagon and the CIA and is knowingly telling lies on their behalf. That's very, very common, very common. And I can think of a number of people at CNN who I know for a fact are doing that exact thing. And so, they're reading government propaganda from the intel agencies knowingly. And I'm sure they've got some internal rationale that allows them to get up in the morning and face themselves despite having done something that dishonest. But I'm just telling you, bottom line, I know that is true. I'm not speculating at all. And in particular on the national security stuff, there are very well-known national security reporters, and I'm thinking of one female national security reporter in particular, who just reads lies from the national security state. And it's wildly frustrating. And it would just make me mad. Even if I don't agree with the lies, okay, but even if I did agree with the lies, I would be offended because they're lies. They're lies. Like when CIA and the Pentagon were claiming that Bashar al-Assad used poison gas against his own people. Okay, there was There was no evidence that was true. I mean, maybe it was true. There was no evidence it was true. None. Zero. And I called them out, and they could not provide any evidence. And yet every national security, and it was a big deal. I mean, we killed a lot of people in response. We sent in missiles and killed a lot of people. Gross. We took human life in response to that claim. And it was, as far as I can tell, a lie. And every national security reporter, every channel repeated it uncritically. The Biden administration blew up Nord Stream and, created the largest act of industrial sabotage in history, the largest man-made CO2 emission in history, an environmental crime. This is a huge deal. This happened. And every national security reporter just looked right into the camera and said, well, we think Russia did it. Well, they knew Russia didn't do it. That's a lie. And they knew it was a lie. So I just think, and again, I'm not speculating. I spent my life in this business, so I've seen it. People underestimate the degree to which the people sitting on the news, possibly even Wolf Blitzer, are repeating talking points from the intel agencies and doing it on purpose. It's scary, man.
Really scary. Possibly even Wolf Blitzer. Come on, with a name like Wolf Blitzer, that's propaganda. But Blake, on the upside, in Debster, she has this comment. Brian and Blake speaking the truth is very appreciated. Well, we don't know what else to do. We try to watch the news because we used to think that was the who, what, where, when, why. I have a journalism degree, a minor actually, and I wrote for my school newspaper, and I've done radio, and I've always been involved. But I used to think the news was the news. Who, what, where, when, why, and how. These are the things we're looking for. And of course, there's always room for opinion. There's always room for, speculation and hunches and intuition. But I used to think the news was the news. The news is not the news, and it hasn't been the news for quite some time. So when Debster's saying, that it's appreciated, thank you. Number one, I've been told I don't take compliments very well, but I've gotten a little bit better. I guess you're supposed to just say thank you first. I usually go into this long convoluted thing, and it's like, just say thank you. But the flip side of it is thank you, comma, nobody else is doing it. They say, oh, well, we got to have millions of illegals flood into this country. Illegal aliens, they're the backbone of America, huh? Well, they're doing jobs Americans just won't do. Okay. I mean, when I was in high school, I had to do jobs. I needed to pay my car insurance. I needed to pay for gasoline. I needed to get a vehicle. I had to buy clothing. My parents gave me the essentials, but I had to do all the fucking rest. So it wasn't like, thank you for getting a job. It was like, I need a job. I need to do things. So it's, the only way America is going to succeed is if we have millions of people flood in here and we don't know who they are, where they're from, and what kind of criminal acts they may commit while they're here. No, that's not okay. That doesn't make sense. Blake and I are doing the job that the mainstream media won't do. The new American media was created because the old American media has failed you. That's why we're the new American media. So if there's any hope, Debster, once again, appreciating this, we are merely, Blake and I, in the new American media, we're merely a product of watching these intelligence agency hacks who think that they are God. Remember earlier in the broadcast, I was laughing at that guy, Charlemagne, who has the gall to call himself the God. And no personal beef with Charlemagne. I've never listened to your program. I don't know who you are. I couldn't pick you out of a lineup other than seeing a couple of clips of you. I don't hate you or anything. I think the name the God is absolutely ridiculous. But we're doing the job that the mainstream media won't do. We are watching the lies, and we can't take it. We cannot sit here and listen to the propaganda. We can't watch Charlemagne sit there and have Biden tell him, if you don't vote Democrat, you ain't black. And it takes Larry Elder to finally call him out on that. And he still has the gall to, I'm not Republican or Democrat. Bullshit. Screw you. All of these intelligence agency officials that are lying about the Hunter Biden laptop, lying about P-tapes, trying to get Donald Trump indicted, get him impeached, and there was an insurrection. Sure, there was an insurrection. You mean all these gun-toting Second Amendment nuts who love liberty and have the Gadsden flag on their bumper sticker, T-shirt, hat, and backpack? You're telling me all these people showed up unarmed and didn't fire a single shot? There's no insurrection there. There's no there. We cannot consume these lies anymore. Blake and I exist because the void has been created, because CNN, MSNBC, and my God, Fox News has totally sunk the ship. I really liked one of the Donald Trump truth storms from today, a 90-second 90-second segment. That's tough to say. Eminem could write a song about the 90-second segment. Say it 3 times fast, Blake. Go.
90-second segment. 90-second segment. 90-second segment.
It's because you're a professional, but that's actually tough to do. But yeah, he calls out Rupert Murdoch for being a globalist. And if Fox has completely lost the plot, at least Fox used to give you a counterbalance to the crazy of MSNBC and CNN. There is no distinction between them anymore. They have taken off their Scooby-Doo masks. They are all the bad guy. And at least their ratings are tanking. At least nobody is tuning into their bullshit propaganda anymore. But my God, the list of things Trump needs to do day one: repeal the Smith-Mundt repeal, I guess, or reinstate Smith-Mundt. You got to get the propaganda out. You have to remove it, because just daily, constantly being lied to by deep state hacks that are addicted to killing people in foreign lands, sending our neighbors over there to do it. It is completely antiquated, Blake. It's completely antiquated. So yeah, the intelligence agencies completely controlling media and reading their propaganda. You and I have known it for more than 12 years. That's why we've ended up here, because we know we're being lied to. We're not simple-minded people. We've broken out of the matrix, to say something really cringy now because of that guy, Andrew Tate. But like, we can you speak on that real quick? Because like it's obvious to me, and nobody else is going to come to save us. If we don't speak now, we have to forever hold our peace. There's no peace in this world with these demons in charge of things.
Yeah, that's kind of how I looked at it, is we really have no future unless we battle these people. So I kind of had to, force myself to get into to journalism. Because, yeah, it was frustrating to watch over the years. It didn't seem that bad growing up, but it certainly went off the rails during the 9/11 and the whole 21st century. And it was just the crazy neocons and the unjustified wars and the Patriot Act and the cracking down. We were going down a really dark path there. And then Obama came in, and then it was a very deceptive, covert way of taking everything over and radicalizing half the country. And now we're in a big mess. We did get Trump elected. So that was hugely helpful, and it's kind of staved off the deep state to some extent, but now they've cracked down. They've stolen the election. They control the Justice Department. They run the media, and it's been quite a battle. And I don't know what this holds. We're living in an epic movie right now. So,
yes. Well, we're in an epic movie, and there's a major story that we've kind of buried the lead. We only have Blake for a couple more minutes, so this is the most important one we have to get to. If Blake has other articles, he can send them to me in the private chat. I'll carry it on if he has to go. But this next one could be the most important story, although we saved it for last. But let's cover this one. So, Blake, do you agree or disagree that we should comply with reinstated lockdowns and mask and vaccine mandates? Agree or disagree?
I am going to disagree. Absolutely not. It was the first time there was, I was okay with it the first time, because if it was a real pandemic and something was really bad and they needed a couple of weeks to assess the situation, maybe slow things down a bit, that was okay. But when they started doing the mask mandates that were unscientific and forcing it, and then it was more than 2 weeks, it was a few months, and all the small businesses were getting shut down, and then they started going for the warp speed vaccines, and later on wanted to mandate that stuff. Then they kind of lost me. And they wanted to do with the contact tracing. There was so many things that they were trying to set up the precedent, and then they wanted to get rid of the election, change that around. So it seemed like there was an ulterior motive at play. Brian, I'm sending you this because I don't know if I'll be able to play the video that's embedded in this article. We've got Donald Trump defiantly declaring, "We will not comply in response to efforts to reinstate COVID lockdowns and mask and vaccine mandates." And I would completely agree.
Yeah, this is part of Storm. He used to have Twitter storms, but now his truth storm. Man, these were awesome. I've seen a few, and I think there's a lot. I want to watch them all. Here's this one.
This trick to power your home for pennies has made energy companies furious. This simple trick could save thousands in electricity costs.
Left-wing lunatics are trying very hard to bring back COVID lockdowns and mandates with all of their sudden fear-mongering about the new variants that are coming. Gee whiz, you know what else is coming?
Gee
An
whiz.
election. They want to restart
Sorry,
the
I
COVID
talked over
hysteria.
that part's great. Gee whiz.
About the new variants that are coming. Gee whiz, you know what else is coming? An election. They want to restart the COVID hysteria so they can justify more lockdowns, more censorship, more illegal drop boxes, more mail-in ballots, and trillions of dollars in payoffs to their political allies heading into the 2024 election. Does that sound familiar? These are bad people. These are sick people we're dealing with. But to every COVID tyrant who wants to take away our freedom, hear these words: we will not comply. So don't even think about it. We will not shut down our schools. We will not accept your lockdowns. We will not abide by your mask mandates. And we will not tolerate your vaccine mandates. They rigged the 2020 election, and now they're trying to do the same thing all over again by rigging the most important election in the history of our country, the 2024 election, even if it means trying to bring back COVID. But they will fail because we will not let it happen. When I'm back in the White House, I will use every available authority to cut federal funding to any school, college, airline, or public transportation system that imposes a mask mandate or a vaccine mandate. Thank you very much.
There you go. Trump 2024. Agenda 2030. What was it? Agenda 2030. 2030.
Yep.
Anyway.
Yeah. Well
Agenda
said.
46. Okay. I mean, Trump is on when he's focused with 90-second bursts. I mean, there's almost nothing better out there. He's so concise and so clear with what he's saying. We will not comply.
Yeah, nor should we. And after the first time, after they were wrong about just about everything, and well, again, check the countervailing views on the very bottom of the screen because we may be incorrect here. And you're absolutely allowed and encouraged to go check out the CDC or the World Health Organization website and check back and forth and make up your own decisions, make up your own mind. But we've all lived through the first time when it didn't go so well. You know, it was for seemingly, good reasons in the beginning, and then we were taken advantage of. Although, they did give out a lot of money, but now we're, never everyone's got to pay that back anyway. It's just adding to the debt, so it didn't really help either.
Right.
In the short term.
Yeah, short-term stuff. All right, so that's on its way. Blake, we've hit that magical mark. Do you have time for like 1 minute, or it's to go time? And
yeah, we could go a lightning round. I got about 5 minutes, 6 minutes.
Okay, then let's go ahead and do a lightning round here as soon as this pops up. Here we go. Turtle time. Agree or disagree that Mitch McConnell, the turtle, should be forced to step down after his second freezing episode? Blake, agree or disagree? Do you have the clip?
I sure do, but now I'm worried because it probably won't play if I do. So I'm going to send you that link as well. So why don't you get that one ready, and I'll find I'll pull up the article here. Mitch McConnell froze up again during another medical episode. 81 years old. He's been a poster boy for term limits for a long time. And now he's finally got to that point where he is just breaking down, along with John Fetterman, Dianne Feinstein, really bad. And, of course, President Joe Biden. But looks like Mitch McConnell's had a couple of these. He had a nasty fall. A couple months ago.
Running for re-election.
Then froze up a few weeks ago and froze up again.
There we go. And speaking of
Check
freezing,
it
it
out.
looks like this is going to play. So let's let it rip.
Thoughts about what? Running for re-election in 2026. That's
Did you hear the question, Senator? Running for re-election in 2026?
The handler.
Yep.
All right, I'm sorry, you all. We're going to need a minute.
That weird one-eye wink.
Yep, it's like he's thinking he's speaking, but he's not, and he's just lost.
It's all sorts of disturbing.
Okay. Yeah, it is, and it's the second time. The first time we were thinking, oh, maybe there's a fun conspiracy.
Please speak up.
Yeah.
Anybody else have a question? Please speak up. Yeah, I love her, the handler here. Such a creep. Yeah, I need you to speak up. Speak up. That's not the problem here. And she knows it. She went right over. I'm surprised she let that pause linger, that pregnant pause linger as long as she did, honestly. I felt like she should have jumped in a second or two before. She went right in. I feel like they might have like handles on him to keep him from falling over, because like the neck, he's just gonna, I don't know, man. It's just it's all sorts of bad. Mitch is a terrible politician, completely compromised, ineffective, feckless, and now he's rendered. This is not a competent, functioning human being at this point. He needs to be cycled through. I don't know what the process is, but that process needs to happen. Him and Feinstein for sure. Fetterman, at least those three.
Yeah, Joe Biden too, probably, but that's going to be a harder sell. But I think we should both. I think everyone should agree. Feinstein and McConnell need to step down. Fetterman's on a very short leash. Really shouldn't have been there. Shouldn't have ran. Now that he's there, but he's at least younger, and maybe we think there's some hope. But no, it's clearly Feinstein and McConnell are never going to be back. So once you start having those problems at that age, it's not going to get any better. So it's time to step down for the better of the country. They've milked that Washington long enough. They've enriched themselves. They're multimillionaires. It's disgusting how much money they have now when they're supposed to be public servants. And if they're not up for the job, they shouldn't be there, and they need to have term limits. People of that age, at least by 80, it's got to be over. It should probably be like 72 or something. Should be a cutoff. But I don't want to get rid of Trump, or we've had some effective politicians into their older year, the golden years there. But after 80 should be a hard no.
Well, Blake, you and I, we have had some issues with this Restream app, and I cannot get it to close this window. So let's just move on to the next one, because we only have another moment or two. Oh, there it finally went.
I just did it myself. I don't know why.
Yeah, it would not let me remove it. But next to second to last topic here, agree or disagree that $700 is enough money for Maui citizens, and we need to devote more money to the war in Ukraine. Agree or disagree?
Disagree. It's such an insult and a slap in the face, and it's amazing how this administration just shits on so many people, and people still support it and think Trump is the bad guy. I mean, Trump would never go along with this stuff. There's just so many things in so many different ways, but I don't have enough time to get into all of that. But Hawaii devastated by these mysterious fires. And the FEMA has no plans to provide more than the initial $700 worth of aid per victim of these Hawaiian fires. Could you imagine you lose everything? You lose your house, your children are incinerated, your car's incinerated, and the government's giving billions of dollars to Ukraine. And then they say, oh, well, here you go. Here's $700. That's like less than a week's pay for some people that have lost everything. It's such an insult.
I wonder if that $700 will be taxed as well. You're going to have to pay tax on the $700.
Probably. And then they've got FEMA officials. They're staying in $1,000 a night resort hotels in Maui.
Now, Blake, you said, can you imagine? Well, honestly, I did almost have a kitchen fire once, so I can imagine. No. You know what? The closest thing that it comes to, I was working in sales and my brother died. And I was put on a 30-day improvement plan so that they could run me out once a new manager took over. It was like my 8th manager in a year and a half. It was an insane company. I was the most productive sales manager. I had the most sales. And I don't know, they were threatened by me. They didn't like me. And so they put me on a performance plan and ran me out. They offered me a week of pay or 2 weeks of severance. And they had to sign a form saying that I wouldn't say anything bad about them. And I'm like, you know what? Fuck you and fuck your money. I don't want your 2 weeks severance. I want to always talk trash about your company. Nope, I'm not going to gag myself. piss off with your $700. Like, how do you even cash that? It's just like, but several $100 billion to Ukraine. You got to be out of your mind. So,
well, as Deb is even saying, $700 in Hawaii, that's like barely, get groceries for that. Everything's really expensive there. They're so isolated. So it's just like they're shoving it in everyone's face. And people just have like Stockholm syndrome just to go along with that. I don't get it. I hope the people of Hawaii wise up and rise up. There are some that are getting pissed. This is the way that this is the way the government treats you after you voted for them.
And by the way, the latest story is that the power company had the power shut off for 2 days, so it wasn't started by an electrical line coming down. Is the latest story that you're hearing rumbling across social media right now. So if it wasn't from the power line because the power was already shut off, what caused the fire? Let's talk about it, but we'll talk about that on another
lasers.
Day. Space lasers, man.
Yeah, maybe.
Final topic here.
I don't have time, Brian. I'm going to have to run. I think I trust you to carry that out. There's some interesting clips. Actually, you might want to get to the second clip of the.
So not this one?
Vivek. Well, there's another. I sent you 3 things on Vivek because I'm not going to be able to get to that. But that's basically should Vivek be the number one choice for VP? I wanted to kind of get into this a little bit more because Anomaly is actually going to be having Vivek on the show Tuesday, I do believe, to try to challenge him and ask him because there's some strange things going on with Vivek. He's very sharp. I really want to like him. Trump seems to like him. A lot of people do. But there are some major red flags going into his history. And Brian, the last one I sent you with that tweet where he's on Jim Cramer's show, just showing that he's been in the big pharma and he's been very successful. He's been associated with Soros, the World Economic Forum, shady pharmaceutical deals. And, there are some red flags that need to be addressed before we can trust him, or he's going to be like another Obama type, as they try to point him out to be, is that he's going to be a great deceiver. I don't know. But with that one, with the Jim Cramer clip, there's another clip underneath it that you might want to run as well. I think that's even more important. Just showing, the things that we have to talk about when it comes to selecting these candidates. I think Trump definitely would like to see him win, but we have to think of backup plans. And I do like RFK and Vivek and, maybe Ronnie D if we had to, but that's the last resort. Outside of that, it's all going to be deep state candidates. So anyway, great stuff. Thank you, Brian. Thanks, everybody. It's great to see you, Deb and Post Joy and Jocelyn and Dreamer Ultra and everybody else. Mr. Unholy Hoax and all you guys lurking or watching on the replay. Thank you very much. Gotta go. Looking forward to doing it again next week. This crazy news cycle. Epic news cycle of a lifetime, but I got to go. TV's Blake Walley on Twitter and the nextlevelnews.com for the
and
archive.
Blake, before you run, tell them about the show because Mike Barra's show sent people over here. Send them back to that show. Remind them.
Right. Friday Night Power Trio. I'm not should be back on tomorrow. I'm not 100%. Mike Barra is getting resituated in Las Vegas. So that'll be on 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock Eastern. Friday, tomorrow night. So, check for that. But I've got to run. All right, everybody. Love you guys. Take care. We'll see you next time. Thank you. Goodbye.
There he goes, peeps. There he goes. As far as Vivek as vice president, I don't know. So here, let's see this Axios article. President Trump. I don't like calling him Trump. He's earned the right to be called president. President Trump. I'm just a stickler on the words that we use, the words that we don't use. I think it matters. President Trump opened to Vivek Ramaswamy as his vice president. Former President Trump showered Vivek with praise when asked in an interview if he considered the 38-year-old biotech entrepreneur for vice president. Why it matters. It's the most Trump has weighed in on Ramaswamy's presidential candidacy, revealing his openness to a significantly younger and arguably more radical anti-Washington unknown. Driving the news. Trump called Ramaswamy smart and young and full of talent when asked by conservative talk show host Glenn Beck what he thinks of a vice president Ramaswamy. He's a very, very, very intelligent person. All right, Trump, you went to Wharton. You're a fantastic writer. They say when you say very, 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 just say excellent, superb. Find synonyms. Find a better descriptor than very, very, very intelligent person. Anyway, I digress. He's got good energy, and he could be some form of something. He could be some form of something. Trump said of Ramaswamy, I tell you, I think he'd be very good. The exchange came less than a week after the first GOP debate, which Trump sat out but promised to watch for potential vice presidential picks. Yeah, we said that was the JV. It's like going on Saturday to watch the JV players play. You know, the main the varsity team plays on Friday night when you're playing football, of course. But yeah, he was checking out the JV squad to see if anybody was good enough to come up if there's an injury, or it's like the minor leagues in baseball. You know, who's doing good down there? If, you know, maybe we need someone to come up here and back up the first baseman, if you will, or be a pitcher in case somebody gets injured. So the intrigue. Trump, in the same interview with Beck, seemed to acknowledge Ramaswamy's tendency to drive controversy, urging him to rein it in. Wow, Trump urging Ramaswamy to rein it in. He's starting to get out there a little bit. He's getting a little bit controversial, Trump said. I got to tell him, be a little bit careful. Some things that some things you have to hold in just a little bit, right? Okay, I'm sorry. If you need Trump to tell you to rein it in, wow. If I'm a betting woman, I wouldn't expect Vivek to hold back much, Ramaswamy spokesperson Tricia McLaughlin told Axios in response to Trump's suggestion. The big picture: over the course of 6 months, Ramaswamy went from a largely unknown long shot candidate, polling at 1%, to a serious upstart, receiving incoming attacks from GOP contenders, including former Vice President Pence, former UN Ambassador Nikki Haley, and former New Jersey Governor Chris Christie. Ramaswamy built out his brand by taking on any and all media interviews, including the combative ones, and frenetically blitzing across all corners of the early states of Iowa and New Hampshire to introduce himself to voters. He has largely been in line with Trump on most policy issues, like abolishing the Department of Education and launching military strikes against Mexico. He's also proposed distinctive ideas like raising the voting age to 25. Okay. I don't know how I feel about raising the voting age to 25. How do you feel about that? I don't know. I'm not entirely certain. I like that. I mean, it would be nice in theory to kind of get more nuance in your life before you're allowed to have such a privilege of voting. But then again, if you're old enough to join the military, pick up a weapon, and die for your country, I think you can cast a vote. I don't know about all these staggered ages of you can have a cigarette at this age, you can have a beer at this age, you can vote at this age, you can rent a car when you're 95 or whatever. What is it, 35, 25? I don't know. It's kind of like either you're an adult or you're not. But let's take a look here at some of the other articles that Blake sent over. Ramaswamy says today's politicians are hollowed out husks, serving as puppets to the globalist machine. Ooh, this is interesting. This is interesting. So the Debster's saying she's not familiar with anyone running, hasn't paid attention to who's even running. Well, it's Ramaswamy and everybody else, essentially. Some people really want to get on the DeSantis train, but little Ronnie D has failed. I've always said that you know, with great power comes great responsibility. Heavy is the head that wears the crown. Little Ronnie D is what I call Ron DeSantis now. And I was a big Ron DeSantis fan for a long time until he decided to run and decided to throw President Trump under the bus. This is the time that you stop what you're doing, you circle the wagons, and you defend President Trump. You don't have to love him. You don't have to like him. You don't have to care for him at all. But when you're under attack, what do you think that the same deep state is going to do to you, little Ronnie D? What, you had your backroom deal, you had a stake, you had a a martini, you talked it over, and they threatened you or they bribed you or, oh, they promised you they'll treat you different. See, Trump's bombastic, so we can't work with him. But hey, if you take a little bit of money and get on our payroll, then we'll know you're legit because we'll have some blackmail against you. And then, but what you get in return is you're not going to get attacked like Trump. See, Trump had his own money and he thought he was more powerful than us. Well, he's not. So if you join us, we will make sure that 4, 5, 6, 7 states indict Trump, take him out. Yes, he's up by 60 points in the polls. He's blowing out all the competition. Nobody's even remotely close, but we're going to have him in jail or we're going to have him tied up in legal cases. So you're just going to win by default. Come on. A leader would have said, yeah, take that proposition and shove it. And you come out with a full-throated endorsement and a support of President Donald Trump against these ridiculous attacks that are bearing false witness against him, trying to ruin him, trying to frame him, and trying to kill or jail him or both. So Ronnie D failed his number one test. I had long considered he would have been my point about Ronnie D, little Ronnie D, was that he had the unique opportunity to either single-handedly, and nobody else had this possible. Pence didn't have it. Haley didn't have it. Christie didn't have it. Larry Elder didn't have it. Larry Elder should have been in that debate, by the way. That JV debate. But little Ronnie D had the unique opportunity to either unite the very divided Republican Party or to completely destroy it and send it into a civil war of chaos. And that's what he chose. He chose chaos. I woke up today and chose chaos, said little Ronnie D. That's a fail. So anyway, that just this headline up here reminded me of little Ronnie D saying that Trump supporters are listless vessels. You know, he was in the Marines, right? I think it was the Marines. The Coast Guard? He was in the military. I think he was on boats. But listless vessels. Trump supporters are listless vessels. Empty boats just floating on the wind, no guidance. They're out to sea. So anyway, Ramaswamy says today's politicians are hollowed out husks serving as puppets to the globalist machine. Oh, he's doing that dumb finger thing. But what else are you going to do with your hands? Anyway, the deep state is woven into a machine of a horizontal managerial class composed of people in 3-letter agencies in government. GOP presidential candidate Vivek Ramaswamy spoke in length recently about his opinions on the deep state and how he would go about opposing it, calling U.S. politicians puppets and how I really dislike when they give you an article, they give you the headline, and the very first paragraph you read is the same thing that you read on the freaking headline. You don't need to double down. I'm reading this in real time, and I just gave you the same sentence twice, and I don't like doing that. During the podcast appearance with Sean Ryan, I don't know who that is, Ramaswamy noted it's a machine that we're up against. If we think it's individual person-to-person combat, like we've found the bad guys of the globalist cabal, we've got them smoking cigars in the back room, that is the wrong mental model. That's how it worked in the old world. What we have today going on in the U.S. is a modern 1775 moment, he explained, adding, in the old world, there were a group of people who got together in the back of palace halls and determined what was right for the rest of society. The old world vision, and it's rearing its head again in this country today. I know he doesn't talk like that. I was just imagining being a 1775 dude having some brandy and a cigar. Ramaswamy emphasized that the attitude of that vision is that we, the people, cannot be trusted to sort out differences through free speech and open debate in a constitutional republic. On how we fight climate change or racial injustice, it has to be decided in the back of palace halls by an enlightened elite. Nice alliteration. We fought a revolution to say hell no to that vision. That yes, we, the people in this constitutional republic, decide how we self-govern. Thank you very much, he continued. Now that old monster is rearing its head again, except now they say it is in the back of palace halls like a 3-letter government building in Washington, D.C. But you show up there and it isn't quite right. There's no smoking cigars, Ramaswamy added. So you say maybe it's the corner office of BlackRock in their C-suite on Park Avenue. It is woven into a machine of a horizontal managerial class composed of people in three-letter agencies in government, the people who professionally sit on corporate boards and associate deans of God knows what universities, the ambassadors to some second-tier nation in Europe who was a donor to some political party. It is the same managerial class that makes it very hard to identify because it pervades multiple institutions both within and without of government. That's what we're up against, Ramaswamy asserted. The real divide in the country is not between Republicans and Democrats. It is between the managerial class and the citizens, he further urged. When asked recently about Ramaswamy, President Trump said he'd be open to considering the candidate as his number 2. So, yeah, he's a very intelligent person. He's got good energy, and he could be in some form of something. Ramaswamy has said, and yes, I was going to add this as some context, but they included it here. Good job, Summit News. Ramaswamy has said that he is only focused on the top office and is not interested in being anyone else's vice president, noting that Trump and I share something in common, and that is that neither of us does well in a number 2 position. Yeah, I don't know about that. I don't think that's great energy. I know that you're running for number 1. And yeah, if they JFK Trump, like who's left? Nobody's voting for I mean, what? Vivek, good grief. Vivek, I think is how you say it. Vivek. I mean, you vote for him by default. You vote for little Ronnie D. I can't vote for little Ronnie D. He's completely ruined his brand with me. And that's such a shame because I was the target demographic. See, and why I said that little Ronnie D had the unique opportunity to either completely destroy or completely unite the splintered Republican Party is because he was deemed as the heir apparent. If he could have just signed up and said, I'm supporting President Trump, I'll be his vice president. We're not going to wait. I'm going to announce right now that we've already decided I'm going to be his VP. So we're going to campaign together immediately because we've got to take these dirty Democrat deep state hacks out of their positions of power immediately. Boom, party united. And he would say, look, and this is me speaking as little Ronnie D. He'd say, I don't agree with everything President Trump has done. Of course not. I don't appreciate his approach in some ways. I feel like some things he said have been too bombastic or too confrontational. Definitely not my style, but hopefully my slow and methodical, some say boring methodology would be a nice contrast to his larger than life, grandiose bull in a china shop persona. Done. Boom. Complete unification of that stupid Republican Party. I was watching the live stream of the Republican debates. I was watching Louder with Crowder, and it had what's that comedian? I can see him. What is that guy's name? It'll come to me. Oh God, I can see him. But he said, what my main takeaway is watching this. If you took Trump out of this Republican Party, look how antiquated this party looks. Look how they just look at him. Mike Pence looks like he's, like he's modeling suits on a Sears catalog for 1956. Like, just to look at him, to hear them talking about just the ridiculous neocon crap that has been soundly rejected by Republican voters. There's nothing left on that bench. At least Vivek, he had a different take on things. He had a different personality. He really brought some of that Trump energy of, no, we don't want to go back to the old ways. We don't want Jeb Bush, and we don't want little Ronnie D. Definitely not Mike Pence. So, I considered, and by the way, continuing to speak as little Ronnie D, I would have said, look, all these things considered, we're uniting the party. See, that's what the Democrats do. They at least circle the wagons and they defend their own idiots. You can't really give the Democrats credit for much else because they're awful, awful people pushing awful policies. I'm talking about the Democratic establishment hacks, the Pelosi's and the Cheneys. Oh, you can say Cheney's a Republican. She's not. You can say Kinzinger. He's in the same boat. The Chuck Schumers and all of the known liars. They circle the wagons and they defend Joe Biden to the end. Joe Biden is indefensible. Showering with his daughter in that diary, 20 shell corporations, overthrowing the Ukrainian president, getting Shokin fired, opening up our borders, ignoring Hawaii, just everything he's doing, shutting down domestic energy. Go down the list, everything Biden. And by the way, it's not Biden, it's Obama. Let's be clear. This is the third Barack Obama term. But they at least circle the wagons and they defend their indefensible. But no, you have some of these rhinos going after Trump, trying to use that I word. Once again, all of those Republicans being called to the same place and not once being told, hey, it's time to go take our country back by all means necessary. Let's go. Like, none of that was said. It said peacefully, patriotically. Let's go ahead and make our voices heard. That any Republican that's even going to remotely parrot or consider the fact that Donald Trump was engaged in an insurrection, they lose 100% of credibility. They're either blackmailed or bribed or mental nincompoops. Is that a nincompoop? I haven't used the word nincompoop in a while. It's like a nice old timey word, a nincompoop. It's like something, you know what that sounds like? That sounds like something Mike Pence would say as a pejorative. A nice, clean pejorative. And that guy's a nincompoop. I see his dumb face chuckling. Oh, I dislike Pence. But that's now back to speaking as little Ronnie D. He would say, look, so I'm for these reasons. This is a unique moment in American history. We've got to get Barack Obama out of that White House with his puppet Joe Biden once and for all, retire this crime family, and let's indict them and put them in jail because we have to protect future generations or else they're going to do it again. There must be repercussions for their treasonous actions. And by the way, once I serve this 4-year term, my intention is to take the mantle from President Trump, having learned some of the things that he'll be able to teach me. Hopefully my candor and demeanor will rub off on him to kind of balance that stylistically out with his attacks. And I intend to be the next president after President Trump for 2 terms to lead our nation and do that thumb thing. That's what little Ronnie D needed to say, and he did not do it. So he's lost my support forever. Anyway, but I don't know how I feel about Vivek, saying like, well, I don't do so well in a number 2 role. It's like, yeah, bro, you're 38. Nobody knows you. People don't trust you. You're just getting going, and you're saying like a vice presidential role would be beneath you. I don't think that's a wise move. I don't think it's smart. It's really a failure. I don't like it. I don't think it's wise. Now I get that you're running for number 1. I'm not going to participate in this race saying, well, let's go back to 2017. I'm a Cleveland Cavaliers fan, all Cleveland sports fans for that matter. And, Steph Curry of the Golden State Warriors was just named the first ever unanimous MVP of the league. 73 wins. The Golden State Warriors were the unbeatable team. And in the finals, the Cavaliers and LeBron James, Kevin Love, and Kyrie Irving and team, they matched up against them, and they quickly fell into a 3-1 deficit. Oh, it's over. Well, give the king their crown. Now, I know I'm mixing metaphors because they do call LeBron James the king, King James. But, give Steph Curry and give the Golden State Warriors their championship. It's inevitable. It's over. Well, no. What did Cleveland do? Cleveland does what Clevelanders do. They fought back. They refused to accept second place as an option. And they clawed their way back from 3-1 to 3-2 to 3-3, and they won it, becoming the first team in NBA history to overcome a 3-1 deficit. Golden State blew a 3-1 lead. So I get why Vivek is not aiming for number 2. You aim for number 1, regardless of where you're at. But I think there's a different way to say it. I think there's a different way to make concessions. And, you could hedge your bets a little bit. He's maybe what's making him popular, which is some of the bluntness, the rashness. Maybe he is really he's a polished speaker. You can tell that he's intelligent. Chris Christie called him Chat GPT. I think Anomaly said that he said that first, and then Christie stole it from him. But he is a gifted speaker, but he does seem to be lacking some of the political prowess that you need. You need to be a little less, and far be it to me. He's now what, the clear number 2 choice in the Republican Party? Tell me who's going for little Ronnie D. Who's going for Mike Pence? I couldn't. I couldn't do that. So maybe he is clearly number 2. But there's a way to say, well, I'm here to win. I'm focused on the gold medal. If for some reason that doesn't happen, I'm committed to making this country a better place. And if there's some other opportunity to serve in an administration to make this country a better place, of course I'd be open to the possibility. That being said, that there could not be a topic that's further from my mind right now, is I'm running toward the finish line and I'm sprinting as fast as I can. And I think I have the talent stack to get it done. That's why you should vote for me. I'm the only one here with any youth. I'm the only one here that's trustworthy. So, make your case, but I think some of his greenness, he's a little green. He's a little raw. And some of that is showing with his inability to do what those lawyers do and do what, you hedge your bets. He's capable of doing it. I've seen him do it, but I think he's missing a couple of layups. Everybody misses layups, but anyway. Okay, now over here, this has been a major point of contention. This is Vivek Ramaswamy's interview with Kramer. So, nobody really pays attention to you when you're behind. But now that you're getting some attention, everything is under a microscope. So here we go. This is Vivek in 2015, scamming the public, says Finance Lancelot, or Finance Lancelot, scamming the public on his Alzheimer drug that had already failed drug tests 4 times before he bought it for pennies. He rebranded it, took the company public with an IPO. Then he and his family dumped $2 billion of stock before it failed again. All right, so let's learn about Vivek Ramaswamy here from this interview.
Tell me why Glaxo kind of wrote this drug off, and yet you have such great hopes for it.
So I obviously can't speak for other companies other than Axovan,
Right.
but what I can tell you is that RVT-101 is a unique drug that we actually think could help millions of patients with Alzheimer's disease. Our focus is actually on the treatment of Alzheimer's disease, dementia, and other forms of dementia.
All right, another little point that I've picked up. I mean, I'm not going to tell you that I'm a body language expert or I'm not Frank Luntz giving you the breakdown of how the audience reacts to things, but there are little tells, little things that I tend to pick up on. And I'm not saying it's a guarantee, but to me, when I hear actually, it's a red flag. It's a subconscious word. To me, it's a subconscious word that's used to recalibrate and convince myself by trying to convince you of something that I don't actually believe. You've seen those memes on the internet where it's that fat guy at the computer. He goes, actually, I know you've seen that. It's like black and white and his fat face and his stubbly beard goes, actually. Let me see if I can find that for you. But anyway, that was just a quick thing I picked up here where he said, actually. I didn't like where it was put in this comment. It seemed
So
fake.
I obviously can't speak for other companies other than Axovan,
Right.
but what I can tell you is that RVT-101 is a unique drug that we actually think could help millions of patients with Alzheimer's disease. Our focus is actually on the treatment of Alzheimer's disease, dementia, and other forms of dementia. We've actually put together what I view as a top-notch team in the industry, involving the developer of the most widely used drug to treat Alzheimer's disease, who actually led our due diligence on this asset.
Oh my God, 3
and actually
times.
lead our development program going forward. And actually on our board of directors is the former
Oh
head
my
of
God.
neurosciences
Okay, I gotta
from
pause
GSK
this.
that actually
Whoa.
led the development of this drug, who sits on our board
Whoa.
right now. And
I
all of
coulda
those
told-
individuals are
Okay,
every
pause
bit
this,
as
pause
excited
this.
as we are
Pause this.
about the development.
Oh my God. I've never seen this video. I've never seen this video. I paused it immediately on that word. This did not disappoint. Oh, hold on. But here, let me show you this. Have you seen this? I full screen this. Why didn't I go full screen? There we are. Have you seen this meme? Actually, that's the actually meme guy sticker. Actually, you've seen this guy. Oh, okay. That's a actually, it's the know-it-all that just kind of. Anyway, wow. I'm a little blown away. I'm a little startled by this. I had no idea that he was going to say actually about, what was it, 6 times? Did we count 6 times? To me, I huge red flags. Let's just watch that one more time. Let's all count together. How many? Debster saying 3, 4, 5. Yeah, she's saying it when people say actually, or yes, that's the exact point. When they say actually, it's an indication that they're lying. She also adds what I was just going to add. When someone says honestly, that's a phrase that I've used in the past. I try to eliminate it now. I was called out once, or more than a couple times, by somebody in particular. I'd be like, honestly, and they go, honestly, what is all the other stuff you said dishonest? I'm like, what? That's the same person that I mentioned 4th of July. I'm like, 4th of July, what's that? I'm like, it's 4th of July. Like, no, it's not. It's Independence Day. Say what it is. It's Independence Day. Call it what it is. So that friend of mine is kind of going, actually, it's Independence Day. Actually, don't say it to be honest. But there is truth to that. There's a lot of truth in there. So I'm glad we all experience this together at the same exact time, because I'm a little blown away that I called it and he did it repeatedly. Let's all count together. 3. Here we go.
For other companies other than Axovan, right. But what I can tell you is that RVT-101 is a unique drug that we actually think could help millions of patients with Alzheimer's disease. Our focus is actually on the treatment of Alzheimer's disease, dementia, and other forms of dementia. We've actually put together what I view as a top-notch team in the industry, involving the developer of the most widely used drug to treat Alzheimer's disease, who actually led our due diligence on this asset, and actually will lead our development program going forward. And actually on our board of directors is the former head of neurosciences from GSK that actually led the development of this drug, who sits on our board right now. And all of those individuals are every bit as excited as we are about the development of the drug.
Well, then what we've seen so far, because
7. That was 7 actuallys in 54 seconds. And to be fair, some of that was a puff intro. That was probably in 40 seconds. 7. We counted 7, right? 7 actuallys. Thanks, Debster. She liked my Elvis impersonation better. All right, I'll work on my actually. 7 times saying actually. And when he was saying actually, it didn't make any sense. It didn't belong in the statement. Maybe he's nervous, but he's given me some car salesman vibes. Actually, this is the best car on the road. Actually, you get the best gas mileage ever. Actually, these are brand new tires. Actually, this car has been fully serviced with a 40-point inspection. Actually. Brr, what? Brr. Okay, let's continue. Let's kind of see some more from here.
Because we know, as I said, there's a bunch of companies that have gone in phase 2, and we get so excited, but then it doesn't work out in phase 3. Why do you think you're ahead of those other companies that have never been able to bring that to market?
That's a great question. And the thing in Alzheimer's disease to remember.
Okay, right there. Is it a great question, or are you... It's not called a compliment sandwich. What is it when you just you compliment somebody to just kind of disarm them a little bit, to try to get them to be a little bit nicer? Like, that's actually a great. He didn't say actually there. He could have used it there. But that's a great question. Another annoying thing that people do is, so if he's talking about his Alzheimer drug, he'd say, our Alzheimer drug has been heralded as one of the most exciting developments to happen in the last 20 years, right? So that's why we're really excited. I hate that right. That little right. He didn't agree. But when you say right and give, kind of give that head nod, that suggestive nodding your head, raising your eyebrow, kind of smiling at them, right? You're trying to manipulate how they're feeling about you. That's a great question. There's a lot of people that say you're the best talk show host out there, right? So my opinion is, I'm not saying I don't say these things. I really try not to say that right thing. I don't feel as though that's a common vernacular that I choose to use, but it always strikes me as slimy and manipulative. Just when you say right, no, not right. Nope. I don't. You don't get to tell me that I agree with you because you said right. I don't like that. I've never liked that. Sorry, I know I'm really nitpicking this guy here, but that's kind of where we're at. He's the front runner for, the JV squad or for the minor league baseball team to get called up to the major leagues.
Companies that have never been able to bring that to market.
That's a great question. Okay. And the thing in Alzheimer's disease to remember, and we remember this all the time at Aximent, is we don't fully understand the way the actual underlying disease works. Not just us at Aximent, but the field more generally. Right. But the thing with RVT-101 is it's actually a neurotransmitter.
Oh my God. He said actual and actually again. Oh my God. So what, we had 7 before, are we up to 9? I think we're up to 9. Is it 9? That's the question I'm posing in the group in YouTube. By the way, hit subscribe, hit the like button, hit the stars and the hearts or the hundreds or the confetti or the laughing. Just hit some of those little buttons. I don't know. Maybe that helps the algorithm or something, but I think we're at 9. Not the German 9, but 9 actuals and actualities.
Targeted therapy that actually in part works through the release of acetylcholine, which is already known to be an effective mechanism of action, because that's actually very similar to how the currently approved drugs work.
I can't keep
and
up.
So the way the drug works is been demonstrated in clinical trials.
I think he said
acetylcholine,
right there that
which
I
is
missed.
already known to be an effective mechanism of action, because that's actually very similar to how the currently approved drugs work. And so the way the drug works is been demonstrated in clinical trials. In a large phase 2 study, phase 2B study with 684 patients, multinational, double-blind, placebo-controlled study. And this is the key on the pre-specified analysis, not some type of reanalysis or subgroup analysis, but on the pre-specified analysis, the drug actually demonstrated statistically significant improvements in both cognition and in function out to 24 weeks in a way that was maintained out to a full year in time. So that's actually what we think makes this such an exciting opportunity. In addition to its safety and tolerability profile, it's a really well-tolerated drug, and you take it as one pill once a day. And we think that we're very excited about its development going forward.
Okay, well, let's look at.
So I think we've caught 13 actuals and actualies. Deb saying she used to work in the car business. So she actually recognizes these tactics. That's hilarious. Yeah, I'm at 13. I've caught 13.
At it, we have to be skeptical. You were a former hedge fund manager. I would always be.
So it's like, oh, he's a self-made man. He's a millionaire. He's a genius. Okay, well, how did he get rich? Well, they're saying that he pushed some drugs that didn't work, and he did a pump and dump. Is that honorable? Is that accurate? I don't know, but I've caught 13 actualies in 2 minutes 17 seconds. I couldn't add more actualies if I tried. Actually,
be nervous when I would see a stock that would be as hot as this one. I don't believe you have anything else right now in the pipeline. If you were a hedge fund manager when you got in shares in this stock and you just had seen Axivant and said, would you have rung the register today?
So, I can't comment exactly on my investor seat, because right now I'm actually thinking about this as the person who's developing this company.
I'm not really trying to put you on the spot, but I tell you, if I were a hedge fund manager, I got it. I would have said, geez, that was a home run.
Yes. So let me actually speak directly to it then.
Okay.
15, I actually think the potential opportunity 17. Here is.
I can't believe, guys. I cannot believe this. I've done a lot of shows. I've got, I don't know, 1,400 videos over the past 12 years with the New American Media. By the way, subscribe to us. Rumble, YouTube, X, we're at American_media_. Truth Social, the new American Media. Telegram, TNAM chat. Instagram, all the places. I'm a little blown away because you got to understand, Blake will often put the show together. We follow the same stories. We're up to date on the news cycle. A lot of time we don't coordinate our shows. We just meet together at the predetermined time, and he'll send the stories, and then he has the actual links. I've never seen this interview. So when Blake had to run, like, it would have been great if we had Blake for another, 10, 15 minutes today. I think I said I was at 17. Was it 17 that I said I was up to? Number 17? 17 actuallys? I'm typing that now. So far, I think we're at 17 actuallys. Rounded up to 20. I got a hunch he's going to get there. We're not even 3 minutes into a 5-minute segment. I've never seen this. And what I would have loved to ask Blake, I go, this is a 5-minute clip. I don't normally play 5-minute clips. It's just, if you want to watch a TV, you watch your own TV. You click on our feed on X or Twitter at American_media_. By the way, if you're near your phone or your computer and you can, go on Twitter now and go to at American_media_ and subscribe to us, like us, or whatever you do. And Blake is at TV's Blake Walley, Walley. So I would have loved to ask him, what do I do with this 5 minutes? I don't know. Normally Blake would lead this and he'd cue it up where he wants, but I was only a couple of seconds in and I didn't like hearing actually. And it wasn't just that I didn't like hearing it. I didn't like the positioning inside of the sentence where it came. It didn't make any sense to me why that phrase was there. And we're up to 17 times on 2 minutes and 56 seconds. I'm blown away by this. I'm not necessarily like patting myself on the back. I'm a little creeped out by how prescient my intuition was on this. Anyway, we're up to 17 actuallys. I'm having a hard time following what he's trying to sell here other than something actually, right?
It's really tremendous for delivering value to patients. There's over 5 million patients who suffer from Alzheimer's disease in this country alone. And if you think about it, we own global rights to a drug that has already demonstrated in a large phase 2b study efficacy on the 2 parameters that the FDA has historically required for new Alzheimer's disease drugs. And actually, we're only one, we believe,
18.
we're only one additional phase 3 study away from the approval of this drug on a global basis.
And how long do you think, what has been the course that the FDA wants for phase 3? 6 months, a year, 2 years? What have you seen? Because, it takes a long time.
Yes, so historically, actually all of the currently approved drugs for Alzheimer's disease were generally approved on the basis of 24 to 28-week data. And that's what we think is going to be the consistent requirement going forward as well. So our planned phase 3 trial, which we intend to start later this year, in the 4th quarter of this year, is going to be a study that's approximately 6 months in duration. And based on the phase 2b data, which was already, as I mentioned, showed efficacy on cognition and on function, we think could have a meaningful opportunity in the phase 3 study.
There was something that was different, and I went through the S1, which was that there were 2 hedge funds, I think, that had a shorter lockup time. Is there a way to change that so they have the same time as everybody?
Actually, let me speak to something, because that's actually a great point to clarify. So the 2 investors that had indicated an indication of interest on the cover were actually not insiders, that is to say, existing investors.
22.
These are new investors who actually agreed to a restriction above and beyond what 23. The other investors in the IPO actually
I'm glad you cleared that up, because I know that, people, when they see a red hot stock, when I see a red hot stock, I don't want to get people hurt. You know that.
Absolutely.
And it's going to, you got one drug, and, everyone hopes that it works.
I think you're asking all the right questions, exactly.
Fair enough. Okay, well, we're going to be, we following the situation.
Asking all the right questions.
And I think, look, I just hope the drug works.
Absolutely.
Right?
We're looking forward to it.
Everyone wants it to work. Okay, that's Vivek Ramaswamy. He's the president and CEO of what may be the most successful biotech, or the biggest biotech offer of the year, most certainly. That's Axevent Sciences. Please do some homework. Go through plenty of documents. Mad Money's back in.
Oh, my God. I am flabbergasted. That was Yeah, I was talking about the Cleveland Cavaliers. You know, when LeBron's one of the douchiest people out there. When he broke up with the Cleveland Cavaliers on national TV and went down to Miami and they had their press conference, and it was him and the big three, him and Chris Bosh and Dwayne Wade. And I'm not down here to win one championship, not two, not three, not four, not five, not six. And it's just so douchey. I'm seeing the comments 25, 26, 27. Just the running tally of actualies. Yeah, I counted 23. I don't really want to listen to that again, but I'm pretty blown away by what I just witnessed there. I don't know if that necessarily means anything. I don't know how many do you call that primetime cable? I mean, I guess that was several years ago, back when cable mattered. People have tuned out because it is just deep state propaganda and lies. So people don't watch it like they used to. They don't believe it like they used to. So he could have been nervous. It could be like your tick or your tell. There's things all of us do. We fidget. We use the same phrases, blinks, and I read an article about ESPN. By the way, I do a sports show, and we're streaming. We're broadcasting on 2 of our sports channels today. We don't normally do that, but we talked about Riley Gaines having to compete against that man in swimming. And then we talked about how NASCAR is pushing racist programs that are anti-white. I can't believe they're just blatantly discriminating against race in 2023. So we decided to put it out for the Unhappy Hour Sports Show on Twitter and on our YouTube channel. But I, staying in the realm of sports now, bookending it, I saw an article saying that the World Series of Poker is now up to a record, was it $40 million pot this year? I don't quite remember the number, but I guess they've hit a record. 182 blinks. Yeah, blink 182. Actually, that Tom DeLonge. Oh, no, I said actually. Darn it. Now that it's in my head, if you hang out with someone that says dude a lot, you might start saying dude a lot. It just kind of seeps into our persona. It like subconsciously, unconsciously, it gets into. So I did say that word. I'm going to have to be very cognizant of eliminating that A word. 182 blinks. But Tom DeLonge is a pretty interesting dude with aliens, UFOs, conspiracies, and such. 182 blinks. But in poker, what I was getting at is I think this year's poker rake, the total pot, the total amount that can be won, the entire pool of money, it's at the most ever. I believe it was 40 million, but I could be way off on that number, but it's the most ever. And you kind of think back to Rounders with Edward Norton and who was that? Edward Norton and Matt Damon, right? And with Grandma, that splash the pot. Chick, chick, chick. All he does is chick. That was like late 90s or 2000, right around that time. And it's like, well, maybe Texas Hold'em peaked around that time. No, Texas Hold'em's still going strong. And I do consider Texas Hold'em to be the finest game, one of the finest games ever created. It's strategy, it's mathematics, it's luck, it's intuition. It's a blend, and you can play it until you die. All you got to do is glance at a card and move a couple chips. You can, Michael Jordan had to retire. Nolan Ryan had to retire. These legendary, greatest of all time players, they can't do it forever. But in poker, you can do it until like forever. As long as you're blinking 182 times, you can compete. You can play at a top-notch level because it's a brain game. Yeah, Malkovich, John Malkovich, Grandma. Thanks, Dreamer. I'm doing impressions today. Apparently, chick. I need to watch it. I'll refresh it and do my checks again. But yeah, I've done Elvis and I've done Malkovich. I need to work on those. I've always enjoyed that. But anyway, there are tells is what I'm getting at. The game of poker, do you tap your finger? In Rounders, it was him, Grandma, with his Oreos. if he could get the clean break, he had a hand that he'd move in on, or if like the filling on the middle ended up on both sides of the cookie, you know, he'd scrap the hand or he'd whatever. And so like that was one of the tells. You know, they kind of hype that up for the movie. It's like, how much does an Oreo twist, like how much can you really glean from an Oreo twist? I don't know. But it's Hollywood. It kind of makes sense, kind of doesn't. But when you're working in that medium, yeah, people will touch their nose. People they'll go silent. Maybe they're always silent, or maybe they're normally talkers, but when they have a big hand, they kind of get quiet and they don't want to give another tell, which in itself is a tell. 20, what was the number we came up with? 23 tells. 23 actualies in 5 minutes and 3 seconds. I could not replicate that if I tried without having it sound absurd. I don't know if anybody else watching that would have picked up on that on the first time, but I picked up on it the very first utterance of it. I paused the video to comment. Anyway, I just getting tired of patting myself on the back there. I'm just kind of blown away by it. But yeah, maybe those are tells. Maybe those are tells of being, I don't know. Maybe it's not. Maybe he's just nervous. Maybe he's just young. Maybe he's, you know, the bright lights and not being on set, or maybe he is a huckster pushing snake oil. And all of the people, there's a lot of people calling Vivek out. It's not just AJ. You know, it's not just Anomaly. It's not just DC Drano. It's not just here. It's not just there. He's getting called out a lot of places. But you know what they say? When you start taking a lot of flack, it's sometimes because you're over the target. And there's not a lot of people that expected Vivek to rise this quickly. And a lot of this is timing. When do you rise? When do you peak? Keeping with the sports analogy, do you want to have a 17-game winning streak at the beginning of the season? Or do you want to do it at the end of the season into the playoffs and you bring home the championship? It's kind of about when you peak. And as we think about Ron DeSantis, and by the way, there are some little Ronnie D rumors out there. Ones that I don't even know that I really allude to all that often. But there's perhaps some skeletons in little Ronnie D's closet. Several of them, actually. Damn it, I said it again. This segment may have ruined me. I never want to say the word actually ever again. Okay. But what I'm saying is, little Ronnie D has been vetted to a certain degree. He's been vetted slightly, but not completely, not entirely. Oh, no, not entirely. Donald Trump is the most vetted human being to participate in American politics. Try to find me some more scandals. These things that he's being indicted on, they're patently absurd. We'll see how it all shakes out. Maybe they will get him. But they're all patently absurd. You know what you're getting out of President Trump. You know what a second term is going to be like. You've been there. You've seen the show. He's pretty thoroughly vetted. You can say a lot of things about President Trump, but I don't think being surprised, I don't know what we're going to get out of him. Yeah, you do. He had 4 years of what you're going to get out of him. And things were pretty great. First president of my lifetime to not drag us into another unnecessary, expensive foreign conflict that ended in massive loss of life. Hey, that's a gold star right there. Ding. That's a win. Gas was cheap. We were drilling domestically. Fracking. Trump did a lot of things right. And then the bioweapon was unleashed. And that was just a wild card. That was something that we look back on now. It's hard to imagine that pre-coronavirus world. And you know, can you remember a time when you used to think back to you look at someone like Fauci. Could you imagine that, like, that guy? And I guess in Dallas Buyers Club, wasn't he the bad guy with AIDS? And isn't that the concern with this new thing? By the way, see the cdc.gov/vaccine. So go get your own research. But wasn't he the bad guy in Dallas Buyers Club? But when you trust the science, and I do a Fauci, but my throat's a little sore, so I'll do that later. And I haven't watched him in like a year, so I want to brush up on it. But you kind of trust the experts, and when the experts are misleading you, what do you do there? All you can do is expose them. These are the people, the highest paid people in our government are liars, allegedly. Go to CISA.gov/rumor control and WHO website because they know more than some people. But when President Trump came out and talked about hydroxychloroquine and ivermectin, and he was instantly destroyed by all of the CIA, the NSA, the deep state hacks, the FBI, all the people at CNN, MSNBC, Fox, every channel went to like these tickers and changing the way that they count their data and amping up their cycles so they can get more cases and more cases so that it can just be a Trump catastrophe to get him out of office by all means necessary. Zuckerberg funding drop boxes. Are you kidding me? No signature verification in many circumstances. Late night ballot drops. Pausing the election in like 7 of the key swing states when he's up by a fucking landslide. I was ready to sip my bourbon, or like it was ready to just Donald Trump, Donald Trump wins re-election. And then all the states paused at the same exact time because the data wasn't there. Then the massive late night spikes that just defy logic and reality. We were supposed to trust the science, but all of it was used as a tool to bludgeon President Trump with. We all saw it. This isn't me. It's not you, the viewer, the listener out there. It's all of it. It's all of it. So it's been a really strange ride since then. But yeah, President Trump has been thoroughly vetted. Vivek has not. So now he's risen a little bit. Let's see if he can handle it. Little Ronnie D, he turned his back on MAGA. And I've said it before, I'll say it again. If you're just going to look the other way and let them crucify, you're comparing him to Jesus Christ? I mean, you're kind of destroying him over nothing. You want to pick a different word than crucify? I mean, I did already say that, this is bearing false witness. That's another biblical callback. This isn't a religious show per se, but, it's like my dad always used to say about the Bible. He's like, whether it's complete 100% accurate or whether it's just a bunch of stories, change the names, change the names of the characters in the Bible. The stories still apply today. It's like when I read Ayn Rand's Atlas Shrugged. You read the book, and it was written in 1957, maybe. It's going, oh my God, these same idiots are the same idiots of today. It's just this person here, that's got to be Pelosi. This person here, that's Obama. This person here, that's John Boehner saying one thing and doing another and failing to protect anything. Okay, and this here, that's the leader of fight. It's the same story, just change the names of the characters. And so that's a big takeaway. The stuff that's happening now is egregious, and little Ronnie D knew that. And so what I've said about little Ronnie D over and over is either he's in on the plot and he's a Judas. He'll sell him out for a couple pieces of silver in his greasy little hands. Or he's naive and he thinks, oh, well, I don't know, like it won't happen to me. It's just happening to Trump because Trump, he's so bombastic. He brought this out on himself. Like Trump did this to himself. I would never. Oh, please. What are the binders of women, and Mitt Romney had a dog on the top of his car, and Mitt Romney, he's awful now, but like back then he was just boring. Well, I mean, we know now that it's just controlled opposition when you put Romney and Kerry and Obama, like they're all on the same team. So I don't know what Ronnie D's thinking. They're not going to come after me because I'm not Trump. Well, that's foolish. That is insane, sir. Or He's in on it. And he knows that, like, to become the number one, to become the top dog, you must step on the neck of the person, on your way up to the top and destroy them on the way. That's terrible. That's terrible. And if he's willing to sell him out, the guy who is pretty much responsible for him getting elected, because he was losing that race. He would have lost that race for governor had Trump not come in to save him. And then to just throw him under, who was he running up against? Charlie Crist or something? But to just throw him under the bus, and instead of wholeheartedly, full-throated, I support Donald Trump against this insane witch hunt. And also I'm running for president. And if something happens to him, I want to be here in case. There was a way he could have still ran for president without making it seem like he was totally fine with the deep state Democrats destroying Donald. That's a lot of D's. Deep state Dems destroying Donald. It just rubbed MAGA the wrong way, and he's not going to get him back. He's not getting me back. There was a time, like I said, uniquely qualified to unite the party or destroy the party. He chose to destroy it. So anyway, thank you all for participating in today's program on Truth Social. So here's where you got to link up with us, because, remember, all of our social media could disappear tomorrow, or YouTube or Twitter or Facebook. So here's my request. I want you to follow us in all of the places, please. And I actually want to go through a couple of these comments I didn't have a chance to look at on my way out. But on Twitter, X, we are at American_media_. At American_media_. Really quick, go there and follow us, please. On Truth Social, we are the new American Media, because the old American Media failed. On Rumble, we are the new American Media. Please subscribe. On Spotify, we are the new American Media. We're kind of new to the podcast, trying to figure out how to build the audience there, but we need to be on every platform. So if we get deplatformed in one particular area, oh, by the way, if you want to see countervailing views, please visit CISA.gov/rumor control, because they think that the 2020 election was the most secure election in American history, with all the drop boxes, with all the late night ballot dumps, with lack of signature verification, with mail-in ballots. And go to cdc.gov if you think Fauci is Christ-like himself, or cdc.gov/vaccine if you think that was just, perfect. So Spotify, search for the Agree to Disagree show on Spotify and find our podcast there. Because if we disappear on YouTube, it'd be great to know that you're still listening on Spotify. A little less interactive, but look, we're going to broadcast. I'll stand out in the street going like this, just talking. Like I will do that. By hook or by crook, I'll be on CB radio doing a show. I don't give a shit. I will broadcast wherever the hell I can. But just every one of these platforms is completely compromisable. Because let's face it, Facebook deleted the company page for the New American Media with no cause given, no opportunity to remedy any alleged issue, no conversation, no interaction. Nothing from these creeps. But we are still operating a private group for this show. And we've had, Dreamer Ultra joined, and Ken has joined the Facebook group. Facebook group is active nonstop. That's a good place. So here's how you have to type it exactly. I need to put it on the screen, actually. Doggone it. I did it again. How many actuallys have you caught me in? That one doesn't count. By the way, Debbie, thank you for tweeting out the show live today to Twitter and your groups. We appreciate that. So if you're on Facebook, here's how you type it. Quotation marks, capital T, capital N, capital A, capital M. So that's TNAM, all capital, the New American Media, TNAM, apostrophe, lowercase s. Then it's the Agree to Disagree show with a capital first letter of each word. Capital T, capital A, capital T. You know what I'm saying? The Agree to Disagree show. The first letter is capitalized and all those quotation marks. Does that make sense? But if you don't type it exactly that way, Facebook will not show it to you because they're creeps. They're run by the same deep state that doesn't like us pointing out all of the lies. Their lies are so obvious. They are shitty liars. They are terrible liars. Or I am just excellent at calling out 95% of them. Maybe it's both. I don't know. But try to follow us on Facebook because there's good stuff there. Also on the Meta realm, go to Instagram. I think it's Instagram.com/The New American Media. We are under The New American Media. I think our Patreon is back up again. Patreon suspended our channel, shut everything down for months and months. A lot of back and forth, a lot of asking to speak with supervisors. Oh, we've deleted your, but you can start a new, no, blah, blah, blah. And I guess it just came back up again. Patreon.com/The New American Media. If you'd like to buy us cups of coffee or become sponsors and help, we dedicate thousands and thousands of hours to sifting through the news and providing you a detailed analysis that provides value. So if you like what we're doing, that's a way to help us. Yeah, we're on Telegram, TNAM, TNAM chat, and I think TNAM official. And then we're also on Signal, TNAM chat and TNAM or TNAM official. I forget what those are called, but we also backed up every one of our 1,300 some videos onto Odyssey, ODYSEE. I think that's ODYSEE.tv, but it's like a YouTube rival similar to Rumble. So now we got all of our shows on Rumble. We have all of our shows on Odyssey and on the YouTube channel. And YouTube, like I said, youtube.com/The New American Media. That's a big one because that has 12 years and 1,300 episodes. Music shows, sports shows, political shows, current events shows. We cover everything on that show. There's a lot of things to TNAM. And if you are to find yourself participating in the TNAM universe on Facebook, TNAM Humor, TNAM Food and Drink, the Agree to Disagree show, of course. Now I'm blanking. We probably have like 25 different subgroups on Facebook. It's fun. It's easy to click and share. It's just very user friendly. But if you search TNAM for The New American Media, that's how you find us. And also the place that I haven't really updated in a while, and I must get caught up on that. It's thenewamericanmedia.com, thenewamericanmedia.com. That is the hub that has a lot of our stuff archived. Maybe not so much over the past couple months or past couple years, but there's a lot of stuff there. And if every other channel goes down, you'll find us at thenewamericanmedia.com. I will record my own videos. I'll post them and leave your like we will find a way. Like I said, I will yell it from the rooftops. I'll climb a tree and I'll roll up a piece of paper and here's the news of the day. I will, because it's just what I do. I have a unquenchable curiosity about what's happening on Earth. It's a gift or it's a gift or a curse, a burden or a cure. What do I say? A gift, a blessing or a curse, a burden or a curse or a cure. I think they say it's a blessing or a burden, a curse or a cure. I also say it's the New American Media because the old American media failed. I also say we're seeking truth, challenging dogma, and having fun. Join us in the mostly civil conversation because it's mostly civil. As Deb said, I do. What did you say? What was the phrase you used? Blake sent me a voicemail of something you sent him that I'm excitable or dramatic. I think you said dramatic. I think that was the phrase. Mitt the twit, says Debster. Yes. All right. Let me just try to scan through a couple of these comments in overtime, and then we're going to bounce for today. Thank you to every one of you. Debster, Dreamer, Unholy, Hoax. Yeah, it's time to pardon Snowden and Assange. I think Trump made a big mistake by trying to play nice with people that are out to ruin him and kidnap him, cage him, and kill him. I think it's become painfully obvious there is no playing nice with these people. But I think that's what we could expect out of a second term. These agencies that have gone rogue and are completely antithetical to our constitutional republic, these agencies that have turned their spy apparatus inward. I mean, we have civil rights. This is the greatest civil rights abuse in the history of America, 200 however many years. These need to be broken and shattered into 1,000 pieces and cast into the corners of the earth. Is it a flat earth? Is it a round earth? Where are there corners in the earth? But you get my point. So I mean, you gotta pardon the truth tellers. Journalism is protected in this country. If you want to get away with shit, how about don't do anything illegal? It's super easy. If you want to get away with shit, how about get away with shit that like benefits us, that doesn't send our boys and girls home in body bags, doesn't rack up trillions of dollars of debt. What are we doing? There's going to be a day we have to pay the piper. And by we, I didn't take out a loan for any of this shit. You want to get paid? You want go to DC? It's got nothing to do with me. What's your debt got to do with me? I ain't trying to hit at sea. What's that song? Debster says, timber. Yeah, let it all fall down. Yes, thank God for real men unafraid to speak the truth. Look, I don't know how long they're going to let us have the internet. They used to get away with so much. And it's, like I was saying to Blake earlier today, has it always been this bad? Has it always been this terrible? Maybe it has. And maybe they used to get away with it because we didn't have social media. We didn't have the internet to hold them accountable. I mean, Hillary with her, I keep hot sauce in my purse. It's Frank's Red Hot, bitch. I put that shit on everything. Do you, Hillary? And these politicians will go on their whistle stop tours and suddenly they got a Southern accent. I'm one of you. Are you? You're full of shit is what you are. And it's so easy to see the liars, the scammers, the schemers. Actually, really, that actually just bugged me. I'm so glad you all went on that journey with me. I think I would like to separate that out. Someone needs to tag Blake. Make sure you follow Blake. His homepage is thenextlevelnews.com. And on Twitter, he is at TV's Blake, Blake, Walley, Walley, at TV's Blake Walley. Somebody send him a message on Twitter X and ask him to clip out just that segment of Actually. I don't know if it was as entertaining as I thought it was, but I'm pretty blown away by it, for real. Dreamer says he loves Tucker, but actually, he didn't say actually, I added that. He says, but he did play defense for his network for quite a long time. Well, I mean, they were writing the checks, I mean, he's gone now. The strings are cut. Tucker is on the loose, and I'm loving it. I'm so glad other people are waking up to what Fox News has devolved into. When they had Chris Wallace repeat the Fine People hoax and run interference on the Hunter Biden laptop from hell story in the 2020 election debate, I've been done with Fox since then. So I'm glad Tucker's gone. Tucker doesn't need Fox. Fox needs Tucker. Don't get it twisted. Trump doesn't need the Republican Party. The Republican Party needs Trump. Don't get it twisted. These people have been a little too comfy, a little too cushy, a little too cocky for a little too long. Yeah, he's telling us what we've known for years. Yeah, and look, people like us, the viewers now, people like Blake, God, we've referenced AJ Anomaly 100 times on today's show, Tucker, we've been awake for a long time. I did just check on one of AJ's videos, and he was like, people are so impressed with Trump calling out the media. He's like, I've known the media's been trashed for 15 years. I wrote a song about it in 2008. I'm like, okay, cool. Yeah, we knew because we're exceptionally intelligent. Pat myself on. Or we have exceptional bullshit detectors, whatever you want to call it. And really, that might, at the end of the day, be all that we bring to the table is our bullshit detection ability. That could really be the main thing here. Okay, we've known it, but up until Trump started calling them fake news and saying that the American lying legacy media, those are my words. I don't call him Ron DeSantis. I call him Little Ronnie D. I don't say mainstream media. There's nothing mainstream about the deep state putting out propaganda. That's not mainstream. That is fringe. That's fucking fringe. I call them the lying legacy media. They have a legacy. They ain't telling you the truth. They're hardly media, but it's the lying legacy media. So no, we've known it because our bullshit detectors are very sharp. But I think to the masses, we can see it now. The Wizard of Oz, the curtain has been pulled aside. And we see these little sniveling creature back there. It's very important what happened there. And now we see what's happened. Now, after seeing what happened with 2019, 2020 with Wuhan, the curtain has been pulled back on all that shit too. And it's about high time we do, because we're in a world of hurt if we don't get some of these major issues figured out. So I think that stuff is pretty darn important. Yeah, Debster says most of our lives it's been propaganda, but they kept us very entertained and distracted. Yeah. Thanks, Dreamer. Dreamer says you guys do deserve good things. The environment you're operating in is trash. That line almost sounds like ripped from Robin Williams. What was that where he's talking to Matt Damon and he keeps repeating that phrase? What is the phrase he keeps repeating? Shit, I heard it referenced the other day. Now I can't think of it. But it's almost like, you guys you do deserve good things. Give him Blake some props for his diction. No jokes on that. Yeah, Debster saying Trump was elected twice. Let's hope the third time is the charm. Yeah, with the masks. I've never complied with any of it. I mean, the bare minimum. Dead giveaway. Yeah, are they doing all of this mask stuff to try to get more mail-in ballots and drop boxes? Hell no. Hell no, hell no, hell no. We must resist full-throatedly, as loud as we can. Get involved in your local environments. Get involved right now. I like that joke by Dreamer Ultra. We played that clip with the turtle, Mitch McConnell, and he said he's becoming more presidential by the day, meaning McConnell, because he's looking brain dead up there. They really do need to pack it in. Yeah, $700 in Maui will buy 1 week ago. It's just such an insult. Yeah, and the Hawaiian people are good too. They've got this vibe to them. They're I've never been. I need to go. Maybe I've never needed to go more than I need to go right now because they're hurting. Although if you got all the FEMA crew spending $1,000 a night at the fanciest hotels, maybe they're doing just fine. But I'm so creeped out by what happened in Lahaina, and I don't buy the official story. I wouldn't expect the energy company to come out and say, like Rupert Murdoch did. Remember when Rupert Murdoch came out to tank his own case? Remember when Fox lost that lawsuit? When Rupert Murdoch came out and threw his own company and his own anchors under the bus? How weird was that? How weird was it when Rupert Murdoch threw his own people under the bus? So I wouldn't expect it's unheard of. It's absolutely unheard of. So I wouldn't expect the Hawaii Energy Company to throw itself under the bus because they're not like Rupert Murdoch is. Yeah, we're going to fire our number one talent and admit that our anchors didn't believe the story that we all believe still. Because I guess that was like the main point of contention. If the anchors believed the things that they were saying, then they were covered. But if they thought that they were lies, then they were liable criminally, or that they were liable in that lawsuit to pay a bunch of money to somebody somehow, some way. The only thing you don't say ever is that your anchors didn't believe what they reported. You say they believed it because that's your defense. Even if you don't believe it, that's what you say. There is no good reason, none, why you would can your number one asset and then take out the legs of your own defense argument for a massive lawsuit. You don't do that unless you're blackmailed or bribed or playing for the other team. And Fox has been toast for multiple years. There you go. Debster saying that Friday nights with Mike and Blake are great. I've tuned into a couple of them. They're fun. And that other guy, what's his name? Yeah, I've gone to I've seen a couple of those shows. Dreamer saying I don't trust Vivek. No reason to. He is a perfect foil. Hope he is not, but history says chances are at least as high as Elon's assessment of whether or not we are living in the Matrix. Okay, those are two different topics there. Are we living in the Matrix? Yeah. Is this a video game simulation? Is this Avatar? Is this Super Mario World? I don't know. I mean, if this is a simulation, like, we're put here to see how we perform under these circumstances. Are we going to shut up and keep our head down while just atrocities from demons just wreak havoc on this beautiful earth unnecessarily, just for temporary political gain, monetary gain, political power, for temporary power? What if there is a maker? What if we meet that maker when we're done and they go into our eyes and our ears and they download the DVR? Okay, well, let's see the footage. Roll that beautiful bean footage. And they watch how we responded. And did we put any energy into fixing the train wrecks that we see around us? Whether that's a literal train wreck in Ohio that Pete Buttigieg and Biden don't give a crap about, or a massive wildfire, or arson in Hawaii, in Canada, this big global push for green dominance, push us into prison cities, lose all of our freedom to travel, freedom to speak, take the mark of the beast. Otherwise, you can't purchase goods or services. I mean, I said this, and I encourage you to go back. Maybe I will take some of our select episodes, because I've sat down, I've had brief. I need to have a longer conversation with Adam Carolla. I know, because he was featured on the show today talking with Tucker. But I just sit down with Adam. I don't know, 5 or 10 minutes. That was good. I've talked with John McAfee multiple times. I was going to say, go back and check out the McAfee interview. Wow. Part of me almost said prior to when he was killed. Of course it was prior. Mitch Hedberg, one of my favorite comedians, has a joke. He goes, my friend took out a picture, took out a photograph, and he goes, hey, man, take a look. Here's a picture of me when I was younger. And I said, hey, man, every picture is a picture of you when you were younger. Isn't it about time somebody said that? But I had an interview with John McAfee, and I said the same thing I'm about to say now. If there's a maker, and I believe that there is, whether that's true or not, I don't know, but I'm going to act as if. And if there's a maker and I get to speak to that maker once I pass from this plane, from this experience, I just want to look at him and say, I tried. I tried. I fucking tried. Maybe I swore a little bit more than I needed to, but I tried. I tried to be better. I tried to make things around me better. Maybe there's no point to any of this, but what if this is just a simulation? What if we're racking up little gold coins every time we inspire someone like you out there to, because I think part of what we do in independent media is, yeah, we're covering the news because the people you used to follow, they're lying to you and they're busted. And you're like, you've burned your credibility. I'm done with you. And that's the beauty. I might get some things wrong. Blake might get some things wrong, but we don't intentionally deceive you. Not a single time. We might have got a couple stories wrong, and we have hunches that we can't prove, and we toy with ideas that we're not fully committed to, but we need to be able to discuss every single topic under the sun. There's not a single thing, whether it's Obama's spouse or foreign conflicts or journalists or aliens or flat earth. There's not a single topic that we shouldn't be able to discuss robustly. That's what our First Amendment is. So maybe you tune in to get better news. Maybe you tune in for humor and impersonations. Obviously, I did a couple of them today. I need to start bringing some lozenges down, because by about halfway through the show, I get a little scratchy. Otherwise, I would have done a Fauci. I do a decent Fauci, but I can't hear his voice in my head right now, so like I'm not even going to go there. But maybe we exist, and maybe you follow us because we're. And I know that I've taken solace in this particular area from other content creators. It's nice to know that we're not alone. We're not the only ones feeling the way that we do. That has to count for something. So if I meet my maker, I'll be like, like by me speaking, it showed somebody else like, hey, I will comment on that. I will share that. I will tip the scales of public opinion. I'm not going to sit silent, because good God, the day we go silent, I don't know how long we're going to have our time on this earth, number one, or access to the toys that have been afforded to us by Al Gore. Remember when Al Gore invented the internet with ARPA? Now it's DARPANet. I mean, I don't know how long we're going to have access to this. And the shit that I'm saying, maybe this will live on in perpetuity. Forever, ever. And maybe just leaving a chronicle of this stuff, just these shows floating out in the ether. The radio waves, satellites, stored in crystals, stored on hard drives, transcripts written down. I don't know. But I know I've gotten some messages from people that I didn't even know were watching, and we've impacted them in particular ways, and it meant something to them. And I don't know. Somebody shared a clip or a post. It was a picture of me. They had shared it, and they had shared a video of me discussing a particular topic in a positive way. And they said, you know, like their comment was like, you're impacting people and you don't even know it. I didn't know this person was watching my content at all. No idea. And I think my response was something like, it's weird. It's kind of like Schrodinger's content creator. I feel like everybody listens to me. And I do this because I expect everybody to listen to this program. This show in particular, every show. I just expect everybody to listen to it. And then I'm surprised that a single person does. I would speak to myself like this. I would just, you know, because we've been so shadow banned, demonetized, deranked, deboosted, completely deleted. Talk about civil rights violations and class action. Yeah, the New American Media is at the top of this list. God, they hate the fact that we get so many things right. Our batting average is Ted Williams level. That's pretty good. But yeah, it's Schrodinger's content creator. I expect everyone to listen, and I'm surprised a single person does. The cat isn't alive or dead. Or it's simultaneously both alive and dead, but you don't know until you look at it. That's the point of Schrodinger's cat. So anyway, Dreamer doesn't trust Vivek. Deb's not familiar with anyone running. And Trump is running, and it's a bunch of JV players. Dreamer saying at the best case scenario, Vivek is probably the wide-eyed optimist that will be controlled. Maybe that is the case. Sorry guys. I occasionally get these little fruit flies. I don't know how they get in, but I got that one. That was cool. So yeah, at the best, maybe he's a wide-eyed optimist that will be controlled. I mean, he really has Obama vibes, telling you everything you want to hear. Goodness, where did he come from? Okay, Dreamer saying he agrees that he showed his true colors. Maybe in the end, that will be shown to be for the best. Put the Ronnie D on the shelf in the fridge. Yeah, if you don't know, maybe Debster, who's new here, she doesn't understand where the Ronnie D thing came from. Dreamer's giving it a call out. There was that commercial back in the day. It's got these kids playing soccer or football or something. They all come running into the kitchen. And they get to the fridge. They open it up. And then now do a smash cut. And it's looking from inside the fridge at the kid. And his friends are behind him. He's like, oh, I'm so thirsty. What do you got? He's like, oh, I got some soda, some OJ, purple stuff, Sunny D. Ooh, Sunny D. Yeah, Sunny D. So when Ron DeSantis, Ronnie D, little Ronnie D. I just add little there because his stature has shrunk so much for me because of what he has not done. What he has not done what he needed to do was full-throated, complete support and backing of the wrongly persecuted president of the United States, Donald Trump, who helped him get his political seat in power in the first damn place. So yeah, little Ronnie D, that's where it comes from. Sunny Delight, Sunny D. Ooh, Sunny D. Got some OJ, soda, purple stuff. Sunny D. Ooh, Sunny D. Yeah, and you know, there is this theory out there that both Mike Pence and Ron DeSantis and a few other key players, there's a lot of other key players, that they are just playing a role, that this is all part of a plan. You've heard this, right? They got to be some pretty decent actors at this point, because this stuff is patently absurd. But yeah, maybe they're all playing a role. and we caught them. We caught them all. Okay, maybe. You know, that when Blake and I went to DC on January 6th to cover the event, just like we did at Bundy Ranch, Occupy LA, the 2016 RNC, the 2016 DNC, we go places that are interesting and things are happening, and we just interview people and find out what's going on, because we don't know. We definitely don't trust what I almost said it there, caught myself, what the lying legacy media wants us to hear. We go out and get our own stories. But when we went out there, it was like, well, we all see it. It's crystal clear that this was rigged. By the way, go ahead, go to CISA.gov/rumor control, because they think this is the most secure election in American history. But so go get those countervailing views. But we saw what we saw. Don't gaslight me. So we were expecting, Trump calls everybody there. It's like, okay, cool. Well, now here it is. It's signed off on. They're busted. It's over. He won in a friggin' landslide. The second term begins today. It's over. The arrests are made. None of that happened. It was Pelosi setting up Trump. While he was still speaking, they were moving barricades. They were unlocking locked gates. They were turning down National Guard reserves that were requested multiple times by President Trump. It was a setup. They're bearing false witness on Trump to frame him, ruin him, cage him, or kill him. And if you can't just take a second, you don't need to love President Trump to see that as obviously as it is, as obvious as it is, and defend him and support him. I don't know what's ever going to get you to call to action. What's ever going to motivate you to, I don't know, circle the wagons like the Democrats do. The Debster says Vivek was parroting and acting like Obama high energy among duds, but is that planned? I mean, it's all planned. The world is but a stage. John Stewart, Dreamer says John Stewart exposed JC once upon a time. You can find it out there. Who are we talking about? JC? Not Jesus Christ. Man, we've had a lot of biblical references on today's show. I don't normally do that. No, you were talking Jim Cramer, I believe, right? Yeah, Jim Cramer's character. If the words don't fit, you must acquit. See, that's what I like, the Debster. That's what I like about Kenneth. He always likes to take the words and turn them into rhymes or make jokes out of them. Yeah, we did start losing count. We got to 23 actualities. I'm blown away by that. So I'm so glad every one of you participated and watched that in real time. I had no idea what the footage was that Blake had sent to me. So words are used as filler when there's no real content. Obama was the number one at that. We are 5 days away from fundamentally transforming the United States. He would always, always. Now, let me be clear. Donald Trump has no business getting a second term. Joe Biden and I, he always, everyone talks about how great a speaker he was. He just, I don't know. If you're going to have one of those, not mnemonic device, not a tell, like a verbal crutch. Let me be clear. My interview on the new American media was not productive, or at least productive in the sense of advancing the narrative. He was always doing the and then Giuliani always had this thing. He'd always get the big eyes. I don't know. There's just little things you pick up on with some of these people. Debster saying I need to just say, well, No, I don't like doing that either. Filler words, yes. Yeah, the Malkovich. I need to watch like 5 minutes of Malkovich quotes, and if I can give you more than just that one, chick. It's a lot of fun. No, I'm not going to put a Post-it note in front of me that says, well, you know. Now, wait a minute. Do I say, well, you know? Or are you saying someone else says, well, you know? I don't want to say actually. I know that. Yeah, how about try meddling with Trump for the whole 4 years and constantly blocking his efforts? Yeah, that's a, you know. Yeah, it's collusion, election rigging. Absolutely. Election interference. And it's bearing false witness. Yeah, I heard Dinesh D'Souza. By the way, you can check out my interview with Dinesh D'Souza at the 2016 RNC on YouTube as well. But yeah, I saw he's going to be releasing 2,000 Mules for free on Twitter. I don't know when that is, but check on that. I still haven't seen it yet. I've heard mixed things on it, but I want to watch it. And yeah, it's fucking crystal clear. You don't have drop boxes, lack of signature verification, and if you don't have some special secret watermark that you run a black light over and you could just take them to Kinko's and get fake. Like it's the most absurd thing ever. Paper ballots, 1 day voting, keep everything under 24/7 surveillance, put them into a box, 1,000 ballots per box, tally it up, a Republican, Democrat, you tally it, you sign off on it, you lock the box, you seal it, you tape it. If you ever need to go back and double check it, it's a paper ballot. You don't do the computer stuff. You don't do mail in. You don't do drop boxes. You just go and you vote. It's so damn easy. Exactly, Debster. DeSantis should work with Trump, not against him for the people. And I did read this, but thank you again for tweeting out the show today to your Twitter people in your groups. If you're a thinking person, their lies are obvious. And if not, well, LOL. Debster said dramatic flair and animated like the Elvis. I didn't know I was going to do that one. Love it, Brian. Great balance with you and Blake. Yeah, that is what she said. It's a good counterbalance. And that's what we should have had in an alternate universe. Ron DeSantis, it would have been the counterbalance, like I so thoroughly, vividly described earlier about if I were Ronnie D, here's what I would have said. And here's how I would counterbalance the bombastic nature of Trump. Yeah, Blake's a little more reserved and I'm a little more something animated. Dramatic flair. One of the first accounts I saw on YouTube remove that you saw YouTube remove in 2009 was Fulcrum News. I don't know that one. Okay, you're going to Facebook Blake? Please do. Seriously. Yeah, election night of 2020 was the last time I turned on Fox News. Bad wake-up call. Oh, God, yeah. If their lips are moving, it's an indicator that they're lying. Clown show. Yeah, let's hope. God believes in us, fortunately. It's so much this feels completely out of our hands, people. I'm going to do everything I know how to do, peacefully and patriotically. I just want to say I tried. Okay, God believes in us, fortunately. We should give him the same. I do. Obama's spouse. Wink. Oh, I'm so curious to see this Tucker interview with Larry Sinclair. So interested to see this. So many things we've been told are not quite what they seem. Maybe. Every theory about life has failed to remove God from the equation, in my opinion. Oh, come on. Let me just address that. Don't you trust the science, bro? Look, everything came from nothing, man. There was like nothing, and then like there was a bang, but it wasn't like a bang. It was like a big bang. I hope I got away from the microphone far enough. I didn't want to blow out your eardrums. So like nothing, man. Peace, dude. It like banged, and then like all of a sudden everything, and like there were amoebas, and if you just like give amoebas time, they'll like turn into us, man. Like that's your God. Where's your God now? Where is your Messiah now? Chief Wiggum. That was a great Simpsons episode. Try throat coat tea for your voice. Yeah. I do have that upstairs. I also have some, what's it called? Slippery elm bark over there where all my music stuff is. Yeah. Let me be clear. I sometimes will do an Obama impersonation or imitation. But it's been a minute. So let me brush up. Anyway, all right. I appreciate every one of you participating in today's program. You're the coolest. So follow us in all the places that I earlier referenced. I'm not going to go through it all again, but follow us everywhere. The new American media, because the old American media has failed you. I appreciate you. I love you. We'll talk to you again soon. Take care.